Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bensalem Township Council meeting, Monday evening, June 8th, 2026. I would ask for the opening of the meeting with a moment of silent meditation or prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I'd ask everyone to please stand. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just real quick, I'll go around the table for introductions. We will start on the left. We have our township engineer, Mr. Phil Wersta. We have Deb McBreen, our executive secretary. Councilman Knowles, Councilman Wenzel. I am Councilman Tokmajian. We have Councilman Sloan, Councilman Kisselback, and then we have Mayor Joseph DiGirolamo. We have Mr. John Chakowski, who is Director of Admin for the township. And then we have several of our solicitors here this evening. Solicitor Paizo, Solicitor Flager, and Solicitor Ken Ferris. Both of those are in the audience since we have a lack of seats up here. And then we'll move to agenda number 2, the drug and alcohol presentation of D.A.R.E poster contest winners. And I will defer over to Marianne to present that to us this evening.
Boy, I really would have loved everybody came out for this presentation, but I know that's not what it is. Hi, welcome everyone, and thank you for letting us be here. My name is Marianne Griffin. I am part of the Drug and Alcohol Advisory Committee, and I think we have a few other, there's someone else I know that's here, but she's not standing up, who's part of the committee. Drug and alcohol has been in Bensalem for, I don't even know how long. I just have to figure it's got to be at least 30 years or more. We're one of the few townships that are still doing the drug and alcohol program, which I'm very honored that Mayor Joe and council lets us to continue to do this program because it is a very beneficial program to our students. The D.A.R.E program has been a long-time program presented to 5th grade students in all of Bensalem schools. That's not just our public schools, it's all of our schools. And the contest is with all the schools. The program is a 6-week program, 1 day a week. The students are taught how to evaluate, assess, define, and respond, and make good choices, which is the main thing, is for them to make good choices. I don't do well reading. I do better just speaking off the top of my head. So anyhow, the one big thing that I think is really important is we work together with Bensalem Police Department. These officers are amazing. They're fantastic. If you go to their graduations, you see how much the students connect with our police officers. I'd like to introduce, he's here, Detective Oliveri, who does Rush School and School Lane Charter, and he's been doing it for over 20 years. Detective Yassine is Cornwell's in Belmont. She's been doing it for 8 years. Officer Crozier is Struble and St. Charles, 10 years. Officer Patine is 10 years. We have a new person who's only got 1 year under his belt, an officer, if he would like to stand up. Officer Pasucci. Officer Pasucci actually is taking the place of Detective Palmer, who has retired, from what I've been told. So we want to make sure that we recognize Detective Palmer for all his work, too. The symbol for D.A.R.E is D.A.R.E, which is a lion. So the lion represents courage and strength. And students who participate in the program, at the end in graduation, certain students are chosen to be given the lion because they have gone up and above during the classroom structure that they've been given. And then basically We hope this continues with them. We hope it stays with them, everything that they're given and they're instructed through this program. It's very beneficial to them. It actually, it's some things that I know some people that are in their 30s who tell me they still remember the song. Now, so I don't know the song. There was no D.A.R.E. when I was in school. So I don't know the song. But do you remember the song? It does start out, yes, it does. It does start out that way. So what it is the students are given a criteria to do the posters. And that criteria basically is something that we've created as the Drug and Alcohol Committee. So they have to abide by the strict rules that we've put in place, including putting their name and school and everything on the back of the poster. But the poster is designed to illustrate an important message that they learned during the D.A.R.E. program. The D.A.R.E., the Drug and Alcohol Committee, gets together and reviews every one of these posters, and we're talking about at least 50 that we go through. We spend one night just looking at all these posters and picking 5 of them out just from the 50 that we probably get. And we get them from, like I said, it's all the schools, so it's not just the public schools. So I know there's a lot to get to today, so I will start with number 5. That's the end. Radhi Patel from Struble. Each child is given a gift card for Target, and depending on which position they're in is what the gift card's for. Okay, the 4th one goes to Sarah John from School Lane. The 3rd one goes to Ratita Patel from Valley. Second goes to Swara Patel from School Lane. And number 1 goes to Zoe Jaschek from Cornwallis. Thank you.
Great work, guys. Stay there.
Her name is Rutua Patel, or Rutua, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Now you can see these posters look amazing. They also have to do an essay, so that each student in each class, in each 5th grade class, does an essay. So the teachers read the essays, and everything is based on what they've learned in the program. These, the posters will be out in the lobby for the whole month of June, so anybody can stop by and look at them. If you want to let anybody know that they're here, they could gladly come over and take a look at what our amazing students in this community do every day. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Congratulations.
I will get them back. You probably will get them back beginning of the school year. Since you won't be around for the summer, so beginning of the school year, the schools will have the posters to give back to you.
Hey, Mary, just real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to yourself And members of the Drug and Alcohol Advisory Board, it's great to see the investment that you make and the value that you create in that board too as well. So thank you so very much for the work that you do.
Oh, well, two things. If two people wait, Maura and Matt, we have young students that we like to have on our board. So Maura is, actually Maura and Matt we're losing. They both are going off to college. So. But they've been with us for a couple of years. So we like to have young people also involved in the organization, not just hearing from us old folks, but, hearing what the young students have to say to also.
Matt's got a green shirt on because he's going to Notre Dame.
Yes.
There you go. Great school.
Yeah, she's going to be a doctor.
But just to reiterate what Mary Ann said, we have a lot of amazing students in this township, so, and it's clearly obvious. So thank you very much and congratulations. Yep. Without saying, I also just wanted to quickly thank our police staff that support the program too as well. I know it's a long time running program here in this township, so thank you very much for all the work that you guys do to help out with the program. So, appreciate it.
Yeah, I just want to let you know, we're the only ones that do this. The only ones left that do this D.A.R.E program. So to our police and ourselves all working together, I think it's well done and well needed.
Thanks, Mayor. Okay.
And that's because when it started out, it was being funded by the D.A.R.E program, so we pay for the program in the township.
Yep.
That's how important it is to us. You know that.
Yep. All right, we're going to move ahead with the agenda.
Hey, where you going?
Oh, sorry. Listen, if you're here for the D.A.R.E presentation, you do not have to stay. We have a packed agenda. You're more than welcome. It's a public meeting. You can stay, but you don't have to.
Come and go as you please.
Right.
I think, Darren, if you can hear me, I think we're going to move the easels.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, Ryan, okay. All right, great. Thanks, Deb. Real quick, gentlemen, while that's going on, there was a request to move an agenda item. Agenda item number 13. From what I understand, the attorney is here for that particular item. I would expect it should be a brief discussion. So to get him out of here, I was hoping that maybe you would consider moving that item up, and we would put that in between agenda number 4 and 5.
So moved.
Second.
It would be a 4A, that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll want a motion.
Yep, there's a motion and a second.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll call the vote. So all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay.
I think
Ed.
first and Sloan second.
First and second.
Kiss the back and Sloan.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to move to agenda number 3, the public comments, limited to agenda items only. I understand and recognize there may be folks that are here for data center discussion. That item is on the agenda, and I was going to open up the floor for public comment for that particular agenda item at that time. I think it would be important that you hear some of the discussion and what we're going to look at, possibly looking at for decisioning this evening. So if you would mind waiting until that point comes, then at least this way you'll hear the discussion up here, if that's okay. Okay? Any other public comment for anything outside of data centers specific to agenda items? Okay. I'll close that public comment portion. I'll move to agenda number 4, the approval of council meetings for the May 26th meeting date. Gentlemen, any corrections, changes that you'd like to make?
Make a motion that we approve the council minutes for May 26, 2026 as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. I hear a motion and a second. I'll call the vote. All in favor to accept the minutes, vote aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstain? Okay. They're approved. Unanimous, Deb?
Thank you.
Yep. We're going to move to agenda number 4A, which we just voted to move, which is going to be the consideration of a land development extension agreement for the applicant of Faith Unity located at the crossroads of Richlieu and Galloway Roads, tax parcel 02-001-055-002. Sir, did you want to come up and give a quick brief?
So while Mr. Kelton is making his way to the podium, this is, of course, a land development extension agreement. What that means is that this is a land development that already has a land development agreement in place. The public improvements associated with the project are not yet completed in their entirety, and that's what necessitates the consideration of the extension agreement. In considering the extension agreement, it's always the recommendation of the administration that if council is of a mind to grant it, that you do so subject to an audit of the various escrows associated with the project by both the township engineer and by the finance department to make sure that sufficient monies remain in place to complete those improvements. Mr. Kelton's here to also present to you a request from the developer to consider an amendment to the plan regarding the phasing of the project, and wants to present that concept to council before they proceed with engineering a change in the phasing if that's what the township wants. So with that as background.
Thank you, Mr. Feisel.
Certainly.
Sir?
Yes, good evening. My name is Stan Kelton. I represent Faith Unity, the developer, which is a religious organization that we've been working on now since at least 2015 when we bought the property, and on this particular land development, which was approved in its present recorded form back in 2020. And each year we've come in to have that extended for various reasons, funding and plans and various problems. But the good news is that the township was kind enough when we originally got approval for the land development to allow us to build it in 2 phases. The phases are basically, if you've seen any of the plans, but it's the front. Phase 1 is the front of the property and includes completing the PennDOT improvements, and phase 2 is the back of the property. And if you have been out to the property, or if you were to go out to the property, what you see is the completed phase 1. Since we were here last year, we were still working on phase 1 and indicated last year that we hope to finish it. Well, we're finished phase 1 and substantial, thankfully, and we're finished phase 1, which means, again, the parking lot you would see out there, the curbs, the sidewalks. In terms of escrows, I understand that the escrow for phase 1 has been returned by the township after, I assume, inspections. And we are at the point now where we would, if we stuck with the original plan, we would have to develop phase 2, which is the back of the property. And the other thing I wanted to mention was, backing up a little bit, we are also completed the PennDOT improvements, which is where you see, I think there's a traffic light, there's a crossing, there's curbs and all the usual stuff, and the turns and stuff, all that's done. And that's completed, except that we're waiting for PennDOT to give us their final inspection. And hopefully they'll do that soon and release our escrow for that as well. Now, that's the background. About a year ago, my clients decided that the wise thing to do, financially and otherwise, and time-wise, was to get started in thinking about doing a smaller building. And that's sort of been hashed around for the last year. But basically, the idea now is, instead of proceeding with Phase 2 in a much larger building. That would have been 17,000 odd square feet, and it would be back on Phase 2. We've asked the township to consider us, to allow us to downsize the size of the building to 9,090-something square feet. And also, as part of that, move the footprint for that building from Phase 2 forward onto Phase 1. So the building would be placed, if it was there now, it would be at the back of the lot along the dividing line between Phase 1 and Phase 2. If you had seen I don't know whether you've seen the plan, concept plan that we submitted to the township, but it shows Phase 1 as a light area in the front and Phase 2 as the blackened area in the back. And the new building that we're asking for to substitute in here would be on that Phase 1 area in the front. This allows us, as I understand it, to use the drainage and that it's on Phase 1, and also the parking, although we'll have to add some additional parking spaces, like I forget what it is, like 10, 12 or something.
So I don't want to cut you off, excuse me, just because we do have a number of items on the agenda. I'd prefer to have that type of detailed discussion. And let me just clarify, the applicant intends on providing a revised engineer plan? Or is it just going to be the concept plan at a later date?
We've submitted a concept plan already to the township.
All right.
We had a productive discussion with them about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And
we're
waiting for guidance as to how to proceed beyond that.
Okay.
Whether we have to file a full-fledged amended plan, or whether there's a simple way of doing it with plans.
I understand that, and what we would expect is that plan would then be presented at a future date here in front of council. So for the purpose of this evening's agenda item, what you're basically asking us to do is extend the land development plan for that year to allow you the time to then work with the township to figure out whether it's a concept or an engineer plan and have that submitted back to us.
Yes,
Is that correct?
but also hopefully during that period, I don't know whether it can get done in a year, but hopefully we will get permission as soon as possible to build that building on our lots.
So
this thing can move
that's
forward.
outside the scope of tonight's discussion.
I
Tonight's
understand.
discussion is only an
I
extension of
understand.
the land development agreement for 1 year
Yeah.
while all of that gets sorted out.
Yes.
And in addition to that, you're going to have to submit a plan to us because you're changing it completely. I mean, we just can't say, okay, we're
Right.
going from 15,000 square foot to 9,000 square foot, so whatever we do is going to be okay.
No, I-
Right. The amended land development
No.
plan will come in front of council for adjudication. We'll wait to hear all of that discussion until that time, until we have a chance to review those plans ourselves and our township engineer has had a chance to review. I think tonight, the only matter of business that we have to conduct is just whether or not to extend this land development extension agreement.
You know, I
We'll
didn't
help you
mean
the
to
best we
suggest-
can, the administration
No, no.
will help you as best you can, but
Yep.
as the president just said, we're here for one reason tonight, which is an extension of the development agreement, and you know what we have to do to continue what you would like to do, and we'll help you out whatever way we can.
I didn't mean to suggest that we were.
No,
going
no,
to-
we're not. Yeah, I'm just saying is that, let's just, I want to focus in on what the agenda is. Yep, so I'm glad you at least summarized it for us so we know to anticipate a revised plan at some point in the future.
Yeah,
Okay.
And I would ask this, that we need at some point, some feedback from your engineers as to what they expect in a revised plan and how, the scope of that and so forth is.
Sure.
compared
Again,
to-
that's all outside the scope of this meeting.
Yep.
That's part of the land development
Yep.
process.
Yes.
Phil, will you stay on top of that with building and planning?
I will. There's been discussion about it, and we're on the same page.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Sir, anything else regarding the extension at this point before I turn to council?
No, I'm just
Okay.
asking for at least a year, and
Yep.
so we can do what you just pointed out.
Yes, sir. Understood. Thank you. Council, any other questions regarding the extension of the land development agreement? And if not, I will ask for a motion.
Put a motion for Mr. President to be extended to July 27th, 2027, as it stands before us this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Kisselbeck. A motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. I'll call the vote for, to accept the extension. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, all right.
All right, thank you for
All
your
right,
time.
yes,
Thank
sir, no problem. Have a good evening. All right. We're going to move to agenda number 5, which is the consideration and approval of a resolution for filing of an application for funds under the Greenway Trails and Rec Program for up to $236,512. Mr. Chakowski?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, so in front of you tonight is a resolution for a grant that the township intends on, well, the township submitted it already just because of the deadline, so this resolution is just the backup to it. The intended use of this grant, it's a Greenway Trails Recreation Program grant. The maximum allowed request is $250,000, and there is a 15% township match. So this, the project, by the cost estimate done by the engineer, is around $278,000, so it's going to go over the grant allowance. The intended use for this project, as Councilman Wenzel is aware, and some of you also are aware, we're doing improvements to different park facilities. We did some lighting improvements at Ramblers. This is intended to be utilized at Valley AA. So if you've driven by recently, you know that the front right baseball field, when you pull in, they've attempted to convert it into soccer because they have additional soccer fields needed. So what we're looking to do is phase that complex into possibly converting it to more soccer availability for them. The grant would allow us to move irrigation lines, lighting, fencing if need be. There will be township employee work being done as an offset as well to limit the costs, but basically to try and develop 2 complete soccer fields on that particular lot there. Also looking maybe about adding some additional parking if there's an ability to do so, depending on location and depending on the grant proceeds.
John, are you talking about just Field 6? What is now Field 6?
Yeah,
Will become 2 soccer fields?
I look at it as the front right across from
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, and that's the only place they're not looking at any other modifications on the facility?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've had discussions, but they've already basically stopped using that for baseball. So we're figuring we can fit at least 2 soccer fields there and get them lit and everything else for the program.
Okay, thank you.
It's just 2 things. For the estimated cost, $278. I mean, if you're looking to add parking, was it engineered? Are you confident that the $278 is
So
gonna-
Joe Jones Engineering did a cost estimate on it, and with the addition, again, we're not adding large amount of parking. You may
Understood.
gain, 20, 30 spaces. So no drainage,
Yeah.
no additional drainage or anything like
Yeah,
that.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's
No.
it's needed, the parking.
Yeah, that was the cost estimate that they came up with. And again, once we start going out and soliciting bids for changing the lighting, the irrigation, all that, things may adjust in there, but that is the intention of it.
I know coming up, we have Q1 review real quick. 15%, was that budgeted? Where are we looking?
It'll be, so if awarded, it won't be available till the 27 budget, so it would be in the 27 budget.
Thank you.
Sorry, I missed that part.
No problem. Council, any other questions?
I have none.
All right, if not, a motion will be in order, please.
Go ahead, Joe.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to consideration to approve the resolution for filling the application for funds under the Greenways Trails and Recreation Program Act for up to $236,512.
Okay, need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second, and I'll call it, all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, John, that's approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. John, we're going to move right to agenda number 6. This one's yours too as well. I'm thinking consideration approval of resolution authorizing the use of internal funds of the Bensalem Township Country Club for the purpose of providing the required match and interim financing necessary to complete the RACP grant for the River Renaissance.
Yes. So as everyone is aware, the township was awarded a $2,250,000 grant from the state of Pennsylvania, a RACP, RCAP, Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program grant. Those funds require a 50% match. The township, through all the cost of the projects, had came up with an estimate of $4.7 million. So there was going to be additional capital invested from the country club for all the projects. I am happy to say that 2 of the 4 projects are completed. The last project, the cart path repaving, will be done this summer. We are having a pre-bid meeting on Friday, and it will open next week for award. So that will be done in July or August, the cart path repaving. And then the last part is the mansion renovation. That is in final punch list, with one prime needing to make some corrections to the project. And then that will be up and running as well. So the funds, when the Commonwealth allowed us to move the funds to the golf course, to the country club, the funds were available through a borrowing through the trust fund, and any grant repayment will be going back to the trust fund.
When was that, John?
It was moved in 2024 by the Commonwealth at that point.
What's our expected payback period on that, do you know?
We did a 25-year amortization on it with a 3% interest rate on it.
Thank you.
We'll do that.
Anything else? Mr. Sloan?
So this is essentially money that's already been spent. We just have to authorize.
Yeah, so as part of the RACP's, the state's requirements, you have to do an internal financing. Even though when we submitted the applications and everything showed that the bank account information, you actually need a resolution from the and we've submitted from the council. I'm sorry. We've submitted our first report to the state in March. And we're actually in the process of doing our second report to the state, and this is one of the identifiers that we needed done for the second report.
So back in 2024, I'm assuming council approved about $2.5 million of taxpayer money be transferred out to repave cart paths at the golf course and other
To make improvements.
country club
So it
improvements.
was also stormwater improvement on the golf course, whole relocation because we were getting complaints about balls leaving
Yep,
golf
and we talked
courses and
about that,
hitting,
yep.
and hitting people.
Yeah, I remember the stormwater management, I understand, it's the rest. I mean, that's, Mr. Chakowski said cart paths.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the things.
Mr. Chakowski said cart paths, Joe.
He did say that.
So
Sorry.
the 4 projects that were done, stream bank restoration program, there was the stream bank through, that comes under Brown and through the back of the golf course, that was getting eroded. So there was a repair done to a stream bank restoration there, the whole relocation, the drainage work. We also invested our own money. The drainage work was done in 2 phases. The first phase, the township paid for through the ARPA funds. The second phase, the RACP paid for. So what that second phase was needed was so that while the water is being pushed down Hulmeville Road, it will now be diverted between the creek and Hulmeville Road so that we're not overloading the drainage system.
Yeah, and I recall, I mean, we were back there in some of those homes that were flooded from all of those poor stormwater management, the collapsed pipes underneath Hulmeville Road and everything, so.
Yeah, so that's the basin in Village Green. It was
Yeah.
just never designed for the store, that 100-year storm program.
Yeah,
So
not even Village Green, it's the other side that we had looked at when there were
the
new
Cornwalls
homes.
Ave and everything like that?
No, this was 4 homes that were built right
Oh,
on.
you're talking Woodburn.
Yeah, yeah.
So we did improvements already on there, and before we did the golf course, but we
Right.
also did the golf course to basically stop the water leaving the
Okay.
golf course.
Okay.
John, just to clarify, the 3% that's being paid back.
Yes.
Is being paid back to who?
It's all going back to the trust fund.
Okay, so we borrowed money we didn't spend taxpayers' money. We borrowed money from a trust fund that has $46 million in or something like that. and we're paying ourselves back at 3%, which is a pretty good rate.
Correct.
So over 25 years, the taxpayers will make 3% on the money that they borrowed to improve flooding and various things at the golf course, right?
Correct.
Okay.
They're paying it with their own dollars.
Yeah, we are paying back with our own.
Right, so now we're asking residents to pay that 3% back in.
But it had to
We're
be
not,
done.
they're not making money on it, they're paying that interest. So let's be clear about that, Joe.
So,
Well, we could have just spent it from the trust
in
fund
any
without paying
case,
it back.
to be fully transparent too as well, I did have conversations with Mr. Chakowski. I mean, outside of just that particular area, we have other flooding issues across this township. So
Sure.
we're looking at other financing options to help mitigate and address some of the other flooding issues across
Yes.
the township.
Very much so.
Okay, any other questions regarding this agenda item?
The only question I have is semi-related to this. I know when we did work in the past, we had some problems with some contractors. When you do the bidding process, are those contractors to be able to bid as well?
Yes, so the one contractor is a responsible contractor, so yes, they will be able to be bid on it.
Okay.
We will see where the bids land.
Okay.
And then we will have a discussion.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Any other questions from council? If not, a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution that got the car path paved, and we allow this to go through.
Just to clarify the motion, there was additional items in addition to the car pass, but yeah. Is there a second on that?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. There's a motion, a second to approve and accept the resolution as submitted. I'll call the vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Vote aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay. It's approved, Mr. Chakowski.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. You staying there, sir?
Yes,
For
sir.
Q1? Okay.
I got two more if you don't mind.
Perfect, all right. All right,
Enjoying
let's
me up here.
roll, let's keep going. Agenda number 7, the Q1 budget review. So first of all, we talked earlier in the year about reviewing quarterly financials prior to going up into budget season. So this was helpful, and we're certainly appreciative of providing that detail, that level of detail earlier in the year, so
Sure.
we can kind of look at to see how we're going along the year with regarding revenue and expenditures.
Yes, sir.
So,
No problem.
real quick before I turn it over, I just had a couple questions regarding the EIT. Whereas it looks like that's somewhat lagging, which I would expect we would see maybe 25%. So I just need some, okay, I figure there's something going on. So if you can clarify, even real estate taxes
Yep.
seem to be behind. And then obviously we haven't received the casino revenue. So if you don't mind touching on those
Yep.
pieces. please.
So you're hitting on all my bullet points. So let me first, and forgive me, I can't see anymore. Let me first say that 25's audit is done. We will be posting financials shortly on them. The general fund was able to return it, in addition to the projected 23.5, an additional 3.3 million, so we actually ended the year at 26.8. I will say, as we've had many discussions about, 2.6 of that came from the health insurance credit through all the departments. So it's not a norm, but that was a large driving factor. And as we discussed, what we normally do is we let that build up and then we cash it in all at one point. But certainly going forward, we can have discussions on how we want to, whether we want to take it annually or let it build up or whatever. So we can have those discussions for the 27 budget. But revenues are flat, as you stated. Real estate taxes don't get mailed out till March of each year. So that's why you're not seeing really any collections in March. The main collections that we got were probably what was received in the beginning of January, February, that could have been delinquent or something to that extent. But you will see in Q2 a much larger payment portion of it. EIT, so you think of the earned income tax goes along with your the normal tax due date, so April 15th. So basically, everything that we're receiving in the first 2 months of the year basically gets accrued back to last year because it's all collections that were 2025 collections that were paid in 2026. So the way the earned income tax works is employers as well as non-employer deducted collections, they have to have everything paid by December 31st. And then it takes a month or two for Keystone to process those payments and get them turned in. So a large chunk of what we received through February was 2025 revenue and was accrued during the audit. So that's why our EIT ended at $22.7 million in 2025. The 1.4 is what we received from February 15 to March 31st. We will see, and again, those always lag because they're paid on a quarterly basis. We do get remittances throughout the weekly remittances from Keystone, but majority come at the end of the quarters, and it usually takes about 30 days for them to process it, as well as you see a large chunk, the majority of the chunk comes after Q4 happens, basically. So that's why that's relatively flat. I'm sorry. Business privilege taxes or business taxes, again, they're just coming through periodically now at this point. They're still processing the application, the applications that are submitted in January for the current year. And then the other departmental revenues, again, relatively flat. Building and planning did receive in February and March some decent permit revenue. So that's about $790,000 at this point.
Will that keep pace, or is that just kind of an early peak and then it'll die down?
It all depends on land development, right? So that's all a driving factor on it. And then transfers in, a large portion of that is snow. So first quarter we had the snow, and I'll touch on that in a second as well. But what we budget is whenever we do snow removal, the State Liquid Fuels Fund reimburses the general fund for any overtime wages that the guys are working due to snow removal. The public works guys are working due to snow removal. So a large portion of that is the repayment of that from the Liquid Fuels Fund. Expenses are, I'll say, somewhat normal. We do have some larger expenses in the police department for vehicles that were approved and stuff like that. They order them as soon as January 1st happens, and then you can and then that happens. The transfer out of $4.4 million, that was for our debt service for the year. So that's just a normal transfer out that happens. Snow removal, and I am on page 27, if you want to look. A bulk of the snow removal was spent out of the State Liquid Fuels Fund. That is the money that the state provides us that we can use for anything road-related. And I apologize, I did put it in the wrong category. The $563,000 that is in the major equipment is actually the snow removal expense. So I apologize for that. I just put in the wrong cell. So $563,000 is what we spent between contractors and salt. And then, and as we are all aware, we did run into a salt issue with Morton Salt not being able to provide us salt. We went outsourced through other avenues to get salt, and Morton did make good. We did receive roughly $42,000 back to bring us back in line with whatever our contract price was. So any overage that we paid, any out-of-state taxes, because we did have to go to New Jersey at one point and get New Jersey tax assessed, all those fees were reimbursed by Morton to the township. So,
Is that part of your contract?
yeah, so, well, it's actually not written in the contract, but we were going to, if they didn't, we were going to go after the performance bond because they were unable to perform the ability. But through conversations with the solicitors and Morton, they agreed to just pay us whatever the overages were. So you'll see that reimbursement happening in Q2 because that's when those funds came in.
John, so net cost on that, we're talking roughly $520. Do you do a Q1 comparison to prior period?
Sure.
Just to see what it looked like last year, just out of curiosity.
Q1 of 2025? I
Yeah.
did not, but
Yeah.
I certainly can.
To see where were we at 200? You know, I mean, where did we?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can tell you
Yeah,
for
hit
salt.
hard this year.
No, I know we did.
Yeah, I could tell you for snow removal last year, in total for the entire year, we only spent 343.
Right, okay.
So
All right,
Yeah.
got it.
take that for
Yep.
what
So
it
we're
was.
250 over.
Yes.
Got it.
But we do have it budgeted in liquid fuels. We did have to touch the general fund money a little bit, only because of that salt issue, because the state has certain procurement guidelines, and because it was a state of emergency for us, we got it from wherever we could. So they allowed us to go up to a certain limit to use liquid fuels outside of our normal contract with Morton, with other suppliers, and then general fund did pay the rest. So general fund, there was 62,000 spent there, but like I said, 17,000 is going back to general fund of the full 62,000. That's, if you want me to go into any other detail or any other questions, I'm certainly available to answer those questions, but those were the things I saw as a recap if you want, but I'm certainly here for any other questions.
I think you touched on everything that I had except for so Public Works, you're talking, was primarily the driver was the snow?
Yeah, so overtime was $76,000, so that's pretty much almost their entire snow budget.
All
Yeah,
right.
we had 2 weeks of frozen tundra almost.
And then-
So,
Yeah, no, I'm not, no, I get it. Yeah, but Joe, this is a great reason why we're having John come in, so we kind of know what to
I
anticipate
agree,
on the
I
budget
agree.
season. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
good that we have eyes on it.
That's why we put a little,
Yeah. Like a buffer.
Buffer,
Yeah,
yeah.
I get it.
Cases.
John, and then I just noticed some of the IT, both finance and police, some computer and so forth, technology spending was up.
Yeah, so in IT, you probably in a lot of the departments, you'll have the annual allotments for their software, annual contract for their software. So the finance software is due in January. IT, a lot of their renewals for, whether it's Microsoft or whatever it is that they utilize, they're due in the first quarter, as well as the police department. So you'll see a large spike in a lot of the computer tech support lines, but that you won't see much. I mean, you'll see some more movement just because there's other things budgeted in there, but you'll see a larger spike in the first quarter than other quarters.
Okay, all right, yeah, it's great. We typically don't see the lags, we don't see these spikes for those particular reasons, because we were not used to reviewing the Q financials.
Sure.
Versus just looking at it the yearly level. So,
Yes.
so it's good. We do it at the college level, so it's good. It's good to kind of have eyes on it. That's all I had. I'll turn to other.
Go ahead, Joe. I'll wait.
Thank you, sorry. One of the things I was looking at, I looked at a couple surrounding municipalities who recently increased their EIT. Do you feel that's going to be an issue for us? Because the money that was coming here is now going to get sent to, going to blow us up?
So,
Sorry about that.
That was the blow up call. Sorry.
the only way, I think we're going to see a small blip, but the only blip that we'll see is if, for the township residents, it doesn't make a difference. So Yardley instituting it or Pendle instituting it, and I'm just using them as examples. The only way that will affect us is if we have someone from those home municipalities working in Bensalem.
Yeah.
So we'll lose their funds
Yeah.
that way. But if it's Bensalem working in those locations, that won't change.
Okay.
So at this point, Keystone hasn't, because again, a lot of those new municipalities, they're still working out the minutia of how much they're actually going to collect and everything like that.
Okay.
So I don't really know what that will look like. There's still also, EIT is a very funny thing. The state of Pennsylvania doesn't release our tax returns to the Keystone until 3 years after we file them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the state of Pennsylvania that does that. So you find that a lot of people that get caught in the audit phase are getting caught 3 years after they did, or, well, if they're getting caught in the audit phase, they did not file their tax return. And that is a very frequent conversation we have with residents when they call, and they're very upset, and rightly so. But the issue lies is that it's the state that delays it, and Keystone then just works on it going forward. So you're always seeing that fluctuation from the audit as well.
Okay.
So that's always something that comes into play.
Okay, that's fine. I just know everybody else increasing it could hurt us a little bit. I just didn't know if you had any concerns.
I truly don't at this point. I think we're in good shape.
All right. Good question. I do have one more. Now, we don't have last year versus this year, Q1, but I noticed that it looks like the membership fees for the golf is down. Typically, most people are buying early in the season. Do you know if the golf course is like reaching out or advertising for that kind of stuff to try and get the increase in the golf course?
They do advertise. They also have a deadline in the beginning when the fee has to be paid, so it could be post first quarter.
Okay.
I think that's a little earlier.
Is it a little early?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because this number could be really good then. That's.
I think they're doing very well.
They're very well. Perfect.
I do know. I will say that the golf course has said we're getting many compliments on the change in the course. It's coming back very nicely. Number two, the social membership that program itself has grown. So we are seeing more people utilizing that program.
Okay, cool.
So Q2 will give us a better glimpse of what this really looks like.
I spoke to the banquet manager over there, and she felt that the restaurant that we restored, that old building that was historical, was restored, has been helping them with weddings, and they feel that the bridal dinners, even if they don't have their wedding there, because my daughter's getting married this year, and unfortunately my family's too large to have it there, but she's doing good with her banquets because of the restaurant and the ability to have meetings.
So once the mansion's up and running, we will try and upsell weddings to have your cocktail hour there. If you're getting married on the porch, on the patio, and then stay up there, have your cocktail hour up there, and then move down to the banquet facility for the actual dinner celebration down that way. So that is something that is eagerly chomping in our banquet manager's eye.
One more question. Mayor, how many weddings you gonna do over there?
Can't. Councilman Sloan?
How do you want me to answer that?
Yes, I do.
I'll be married 70 years. man.
No, I think he meant, how many were you going to officiate?
No, I want to know how many you're going to officiate over there, not how
The
many.
mayor is not allowed to officiate weddings.
All right, John, have we, one of the things this doesn't include that I would like to see in the next quarter, if we can, is end-of-year projections.
Okay.
Based on kind of the actuals, what we brought
so,
in. Is that something that you look at?
The first quarter is very tough to do.
No, understand.
So
That's
the
why I'm
second
looking at
quarter,
it
I was
from
planning on trying to include an end-of-year projection because, again, more revenues are coming in. I can kind of see where our real estate transfer taxes are landing, where our real estate taxes themselves are landing. So, the second quarter, I'll certainly do an end-of-year projection.
Okay, all right, that's good.
Maybe the mall will be doing something.
Maybe. And then I know when we had the budget discussion a couple months ago, we talked about job vacancies in the township and how those were budgeted in. Can you give an update on where we are on those vacancies?
So currently, we still have the Director of Public Works vacant. The Finance Manager is still vacant. As you know, I'm jumping the gun, but we're intending on in the 27 budget, we're intending on putting a HR manager in the position. So we'll see. We're going to evaluate between the HR manager and the finance manager. There might be. I don't know. We're going to evaluate to see if there's a necessity that way. Currently, you know that I'm doing both, but we'll see. We'll see the way that the HR position plays out. We do have we do have an open position in finance. That is a new position. The reason why we started getting applications in the beginning of the year, end of last year, beginning of the year, we had a candidate. The candidate unfortunately took a job somewhere else, so we weren't able to start him in the beginning of the year. So audit then took over. Now we're going to get back out to try and find a new candidate for that department. Okay. I believe that is the end of open positions at this point. Just trying to go off the top of my head, but I believe that's the end of the open positions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Other than replacement of, if an officer retired or something like that.
Yeah, understood. No more questions? Nope.
Mr. Kisselback?
Yeah, I do have two comments. First of all, I was very much surprised to find out, and this is by talking to people over at the golf club, not that I'm golfing, but I was over there several times, but I was surprised for their comments, as you had just said, that they were very pleased with the improvements of the golf course since we just replaced the superintendent, and for that to move that fast, I thought it would have taken at least a year for the improvements to be noticed by the golfers. But when I had this from several different sources, several different people, and when they said that to me, I was totally kind of surprised and shocked to say, wow, you must have picked out good people this time around.
Yes.
And hopefully it will continue in that vein. Second, also, what I noticed, my analysis of when we reviewed the first quarter is even though it's 25% of the year, the activity was about 15% in the revenue as well as the expenditures, somewhere in that general area. And so by the second quarter, we should be moving up, and by the third quarter, we should really be on the positive side of activities when it comes to the monetary income.
Yes.
So that was my analysis of it. So thank you very much. Thanks for your suggestions on that, Mr. President.
Yep, thank you, Mr.
Jesse?
Kisselback. John, for Q2 review, some point end of August?
Yeah,
Early September?
we could probably shoot for the last meeting in July. The audit kind of waylaid this, and I appreciate your patience with it, but I wanted to be able to provide you 25, as close as I could, 25 numbers with this as well, but these are the actuals for 25 now, so these won't change. But yeah, I think by the end of July, it should be good for you.
All right, end of July, early August then, that's fine.
Yes,
Thank you. Okay, with that said, we'll move to the HR. Since, John, you mentioned it, it's a good segue. I wouldn't expect this to be a lengthy discussion, but we discussed the idea of having some sort of HR resource here at the township level. I know you were supportive as well as the mayor. Just to, if you don't mind, summarizing the quick responsibilities, maybe an ETA on when you expect to bring that person in and who they would report to.
So it would be a 2027 budget, 2027 position budgeted for. We're currently in the process with the Bucks County Consortium reviewing what other municipalities have, the duties assigned, and then pay scales, obviously, as well. For the most part, every municipality has one or one with a support staff with it in comparison to our size. So the intention would be just basic HR duties. When I say HR duties, onboarding of new personnel, helping with tracking discipline, helping with collective bargaining agreements, just normal HR processes, policy, keeping federal guidelines, state guidelines current with policies, all those things that we do now, but it's on top of other duties.
Who's
So,
we?
myself and
Right.
Debbie,
Let's just be clear.
Debbie
Right.
South
Okay.
and,
All right.
and the mayor.
Got it, okay, great. Policies, training.
Yep.
All of the normal, conventional, human resource type activities.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Each council person in to make sure.
If that's required, then that's required. You know, like, from the corporate
Well, you're an
world, I love
employee
going through
now.
those trainings.
You're an
and-
employee.
I think it'd be a great asset in addition to the township.
I as well.
Any quick questions from council on that particular item? No? Okay. All right.
I do. I know we said manager. I looked around. Most of them are other director positions, so I think we should make it a physical director position where the mayor appoints, council approves, just like every other
I
director.
only found one municipality that has a director position, that's Middletown, and
They're roughly the same. I mean, we're a little bit larger than they do. I think that's a better avenue. I think that's something.
We have a different form of government completely.
yeah, they have a manager as well.
I understand.
And Abington, very comparison, they have a manager. Lower Marion, they have a manager. So Our intention is to make it a manager position.
And who would they report to, you or the mayor?
Yeah, so it would be the administration, yes. So myself and the mayor, yes.
All right, I guess we can look at the details then as we get closer to 2027. Okay. Anything else? All right. All right, thank you very much, John. I think that does it from your perspective, your responsibilities for this evening, and I will relieve you from...
I can be dismissed?
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, yep. Certainly
Thank you, I
appreciate
appreciate
you
it.
being here and going over all those items.
My pleasure.
I think we did it in the best timing that we could.
I appreciate it.
I'll move to agenda number 9, the consideration of a preliminary and final land development for Perryville Hospitality located at it's listed as Lincoln Highway, the former George Washington Motor Inn. And who do we have representing? Before they start, I'll turn to Mr.
Murphy.
I'll turn to our solicitors or our engineer. Anything to add prior to the presentation from the applicant? Okay.
I'm sorry. It's a self-storage facility on Lincoln Highway, about 2.5 acres that's actually being developed. They already received zoning relief. There's a few land development waivers which the applicants can discuss. And then there's a few fee and lieu, which again, they can discuss as well.
Thank you. Sir?
Good evening, I'm Ed Murphy. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant. Somewhere here is Justin Gennady, the project engineer for Dynamic Engineering. This project has a somewhat lengthy history. It started back in 2024 when we first discussed the sketch concept with the township staff. It proceeded forward. We submitted last spring of 25, an application to the zoning hearing board. That got granted almost a year ago last week. And subsequent to that, we went through the normal course, submitted land development plans late summer. Those plans have been reviewed multiple times by the staff and consultants of the township. We have submitted, I think, 3 different sets of revised plans addressing ongoing review comments. And we did receive a favorable recommendation this spring from your planning commission. We've made a few other tweaks to the plan since based on further review comments from Township Engineer's Office, but we're here this evening seeking the necessary approval to allow us to move forward. For those that don't know, it's gross 4 acres, net little less than 3 acres, but it's really oddly configured and positioned. If you're leaving the toll area of the turnpike and headed up underneath the new Lincoln Highway Bridge, headed to Route 1 North, as you get under that bridge, right in front of you is the back end of this site. The site is bounded on the left by the old police barracks, state police, PennDOT maintenance facility. It's at the end of a Neshaminy Boulevard, which turns into a cul-de-sac and a dirt road right there. It is and has been the fill site for all these other major construction projects that immediately surround it. So it is a very unique site in terms of its location, and whatever you can do with it because of that makes it a real challenge. What's proposed, as Adam said, is a self-storage facility that is a use that's permitted, and we did get some zoning relief because of the nature of the site. Basically, it had little to do with anything other than the fact that, as I mentioned, this site was a fill site for all the other activity that surrounded it. So there is nothing man-made on this site, nor has it been for many, many years. The steep slopes are all man-made because of the fill piles that have been there. The trees that are there are all later succession growth, again, because of all the activity that was surrounding it. So I think it's pretty unique in terms of the site and what we're able credit to the developer, what they were able to come up with as a productive use of a property that if you all would go there and see it, you'd be scratching your head trying to figure out what you can do with that site, given where it is, what it is, and how it's accessed. So, in terms of your packets, the most recent review is what I understand is called the readiness review, that is the distillation, candidly, of 3 or 4 reviews that preceded it since the plan was submitted almost a year ago, August of 2025. So that's where we are tonight. And Justin is here to answer any other specific questions about engineering detail on the plans, questions about stormwater management, or other more technical site improvement questions, if you have any.
Thank you. I'll start. Some of the slopes you said were attributed to the work that was done, but what was there prior to some of that construction work going on related to the turnpike?
Justin, I think, has done a geotechnical study of the site as required by your ordinance. I think he can specifically answer that.
And the site is exactly that. When we went through the zoning hearing board, there was all steep slopes on the site, which we got relief from. Those steep slopes were all because of the fill associated with the right-of-way taking and the construction of all the surrounding roads that are join the property. So you're asking what was the original use on the site? I'm unsure, but where we took it over, it was all just man-made slopes.
Okay.
Basically, the fill from the road, from all the turnpike on-ramp, and Route 1 itself, this was the dumping ground and the basically the construction zone for all those roads.
Well, to be quite honest with you, I mean, I've been in this township for 40 years now, and I'm going to tell you, it was a dumping ground even prior to that.
Yeah.
So, and I remember it being just like it was as it looks today. There were mounds of dirt, and there was nothing really back there.
No, and then we did.
So I just think it's a little disingenuous to blame the construction piece of the turnpike to the idea that we're getting a variance for steep slopes. That's all.
Well, at one time
Because
it was the George Washington Motor Lodge.
it was, but at that point afterwards, it still looked like it does today, regardless.
But it was a restaurant and a motor lodge at one time. People ate dinner there.
Understood, okay.
And we did do a full geotechnical investigation that actually confirmed that. So they did full borings. The borings were consistent of fill from construction activities, different rock. So it was, and we did present that as evidence during the zoning hearing board hearing.
Do you have that evidence today?
We do have a geotechnical investigation if you'd like to share that.
And then also, there was mention about 3 to 4 different reviews. I don't recollect that we had any additional reviews or history of what those reiterations look like.
They should be in your packet. We have them, obviously. And Justin's office has responded to them in kind as each new review letter was issued. If you'd like the dates, we can provide them.
Yeah, the initial land development submission was made on August 22nd, 2025. We received the first round review. The WK2 review is noted here is September 25th, 2025.
But what you mentioned 3 to 4 plans, or
Right.
3 to 4.
Yeah, so we are on, Mr. Chairman, we're on revision 3 of the plan set. So the initial submission was made, that's revision 0, and then we went 1, 2, and 3 revisions.
Can you summarize what changed over the course of plans 1, 2, and 3?
I can list the individually if I were to work through the letters, but there was just a number of, whenever you submit an initial land development plan, as you're aware, there's feedback that comes from the township engineer, mainly related to stormwater grading, different aspects of the ordinance that they want to see compliance with, or maybe some buffering that we want to see differently on the plans. Those comments were then addressed, resubmitted. We received another round of review letters. Instead of coming before the planning commission, we chose then to revise the plans, resubmit them, just so we can come in front of the planning commission with a cleaner review letter. That was revision 2. We didn't actually make it to the planning commission until this past January, on, I believe, which was revision.
21st of January is we met the planning commission, but we had our second review from WK2 on January 12th of this year.
We have that letter dated January 12th.
We then had a series of emails from different folks at WK2, February 24, 26, March 23, 26, resulting in the third round of reviews on March 24, 26, and then finally the readiness letter of May 14th, 2026.
I guess, Mr. Knowles, to respond, the January 12th letter doesn't necessarily tell us what particularly changed. That's more traffic as well as the traffic impact fee.
I know, but if they made changes prior to the planning commission meeting, we normally don't get.
I'm just asking the question, that's fine. So my other question to the applicant is, why was it decided to go 4+ stories?
Why is the building 4 stories? That's
Yeah.
typical for self-storage, so you do a smaller footprint with elevators inside. We also want to limit the area of disturbance on the property. It's a unique parcel itself. We have to provide full circulation around the building and also provide enough area for stormwater management. So self-storage, it is easier to go vertical than it is to go wide. These are new state-of-the-art versions of self-storage. They're not the long rows of drive-up doors and pull-up doors. Everything's really self-contained. You go into the building and it's multi-level of secure, climate-controlled self-storage inside.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, though. I mean, there's still disturbance to this site, and based off our township code, there's a minimum net lot area of 5 acres that's required to put this use there.
Well,
We didn't have 5 acres to start with. That was one of the items of zoning relief. Because of the application of all the rights-of-way of all the roads that immediately surround it, we ended up with 2.85 net acres, which is one of the issues of the zoning relief that we got a year ago.
Understood, but
Okay.
still, and yet, for the use required is 5 acres.
Right.
Okay.
The ordinance would have normally required 5 acres for a self-storage. We never had 5 acres, so most we had was 4 and change gross. But with the reduction, as your ordinance requires, of all the surrounding rights-of-way, it went from 4+ to 2.85.
Why does a storage facility need 3 wall signs?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Sorry, I should get closer to the mic, I know. Why does a storage facility need 3 wall signs?
well, that was testimony during the zoning hearing board. One, we have multiple road frontages.
And I appreciate that, but we're not the zoning hearing board.
No, and
Okay, all
I'm
right.
just going to go through what was discussed at the zoning hearing board, which
Okay.
was the benefit of receiving that variance. We have
Thanks.
3 road frontages, but we also have a very obscure location. So it's located at the dead end of the Chamonix Boulevard. The location of this building, you probably wouldn't even know where that road was if you weren't a resident of this town. So the 3
But
wall
that
signs are
seems,
really.
that seems to indicate to me that you're trying to advertise for folks coming off of the turnpike or people that may not necessarily live in Bensalem. So I mean,
then you can't
to your
get to
point, I would expect, right, I mean, it's in a pretty
It's the way
location,
great if you
that's
could go
remote
off the
location.
off-ramp
So
and drive right to it.
why the need then to advertise then to those?
So you can find where it is.
Okay.
Because it's not easy to get where it is from any place that you're trying to get to,
Agreed.
as you know.
Agreed. Was there plan improvements, I mean, from driving down that road? It's not even a completed road. I don't believe it is.
It is.
It's completed now? Yep. And then will there be any impact to Route 1 since it's really there as well as the adjacent off-ramp to the turnpike?
No, sir.
Phil, I'm going to turn to you. Will there be any impact to Route 1? And if not, can you please explain why when we're talking about a 4+5 building? 4-story?
It's not a lot of traffic associated with
Traffic studies, our fee that we've agreed to pay is 19 trips in the PM hour.
So it's 19 trips, and so it's not a lot that's going in there. These are the back roads. They're not using, they're not going, they might be coming from Route 1, but they're not using that as the way to get in.
Right, understood, but you still have a towering 4-story building that's over Route 1, but, okay. Okay. And then there was a waiver that was noted as WK2 supports the waiver request for curbs. Any particular reason why for that, Phil?
Curb and sidewalk, technically, yes, it's a waiver, but we're paying the fee in lieu of construction of both, so.
I understand that, and
Okay.
I'm asking my township engineer, since
Okay.
the office supported that waiver, I'm just trying to understand the supporting justification around that. And the reason why I'm asking, Phil, is that I'm not necessarily against the sidewalks, since there's not sidewalks along that area, but I mean, across this township, we're trying to fill in sidewalks where needed, and, you know, potentially, but just in curbs alone to help with water management. And here's my concern. Two things. One, we have curbs that sits along that development where the Home Depot is at. There's curbs already there. So if you look, the curbs go all the way up, halfway up the street. And then second, curbs, I would think, would help with the water management. And based off of the waiver variance of the steep slopes, I would expect that we would have to see some increased work for water management. So there's a twofold question there, I guess.
Well, it's a full question. I would specifically ask Justin, though, for the comments associated with that. That was a specific request associated with that fee in lieu of. The water issues are clearly, there's a water issue when curb is placed in a certain direction. With this one, everything came out okay with regard to how stormwater management would be ushered on and off the site. So that's Justin to comment on.
So real quick before you, so, and I ask this a lot, and I'm not blaming you, Phil, with this. I think partly is we need to go back to the MPC at the state level and change some of those guidelines. But when we deal with those, the rate control tables, does that factor in the idea of variances on steep slopes? Because I would assume, look, I'm not an expert on it, so I'm just would assume that there would be additional flow from those steep slopes. And is that factored into these rate control tables?
It does, because we're catching that water. So it's not muddling around somewhere else. It's going in the underground basin. After it goes into the underground basin, it's stored there. And it's supposed to go through the ground to the property. Again, my specific expertise is not stormwater, as you know.
Yeah.
But for this particular one, the water goes into the ground inside, and then there's another outdoor basin that allows for the larger storms. So we could release from and push up, believe it or not, the water from the underground basin into the other basin, the larger basin.
Got it.
Which also is a waiver for a 3-to-1 slope, which makes it a deeper basin than the 4-to-1 slope that is required.
Got it, okay. All right, that answers that question. Thank you. All right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you going to?
No, you weren't cutting me off. I was just waiting. So, yeah, so two parts to that question. For stormwater management, it's important to note. So the site has no stormwater management now. You noted that there was steep slopes. A lot of times the issue and the protection of steep slopes is mainly pertaining to erosion and sediment control. So cutting a steep slope is only as important as it is managing the slope, the flow that comes off of it. So as part of this plan, we're providing fully compliant stormwater management that's rate, volume, and water quality, meeting your stormwater ordinance and meeting the state's, because we're disturbing over an acre. We're proposing two basins. One's an underground MRC basin, which is going to be located underneath the parking lot. The other one is an above-ground surface extended detention basin. Both of them are going to function to manage the rates to be less than 20% of the flows coming off of the site today. So we're meeting all rate controls, all peak rate reductions. There's no infiltration on the site because it is a fill site. DEP does not allow you to infiltrate and fill, and we didn't find infiltration during some of the tests that were provided. With support of the waivers, not only is there no curb and sidewalk along that stretch in the Neshaminy Boulevard, but also installing curb and installing sidewalk would also impede the flow of stormwater on those road networks. Because right now, they function by using roadside swales and inlets. If we were to put curb just along our isolated section, it would actually disturb and upset the whole rest of the flow regime to that area. So not installing curb. If you're not going to do curb along the entire stretch, you can't really do a piece. So again, we're still providing the fee in lieu of for both the sidewalk and the curb, only because it's just functionally not the right way to do it.
Thank you. I don't want to monopolize. I'll turn to other.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, I'm turning to you guys.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my one concern was your climate control. You have climate control, which makes it a higher end place, right? So, but you're open from 9 o'clock in the morning, or 6 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, I think?
Yes.
Okay, so it is an isolated location, okay? So my concern is what kind of security apparatus do you have? Do you have cameras? Do you have lighting? Do you have, I don't know if I would want to be a person by myself at 9 o'clock at night going to a storage place in the middle of nowhere, as you're
All
describing.
the above, which Justin
Yeah.
can.
Okay,
Yes.
can you let us know about that?
Sure. Yeah, no, these facilities do function on security. They want people to be able to feel safe when they go in. There's going to be staff during routine business hours, but there will be periods of time where it's unstaffed and only available to people that have key card access. There's going to be security cameras not only on the perimeter of the building, but on every square corner inside. They have no blind corners. There's nowhere where someone could hide or actually get into the building. They have a dedicated key to know who's in and out when they come in and
Is there
out.
gates to get into?
There's going to be a gate to get into the facility, so you're going to be able to pull in, swipe a card, enter a code to be able to access the facility to get in, and then same to come out. They know when you come in and out. And then also for you to get into the facility itself is another key card to get into the building itself. So they do, like I said, they want people to feel safe, so there's lighting, there's security, there's cameras, and they do have a record of who's in the building at all times.
What's your largest unit there?
I actually don't have that in front of me, but we will be submitting a full architectural plan. But I think usually the question, the township does limit the size of the biggest unit, and we're fully compliant there.
Okay.
Gentlemen, anybody?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. And I'm a little bothered that we don't have the previous engineering reviews in our packets. There's no records in our packets of the Planning Commission review, the Zoning Hearing Board review, and I would think that this is a site that the Environmental Advisory Committee would also take a look at. So I think going forward, we need to make sure that we're having the full proper information in our packets and the proper boards review every land development plan that comes in front of us. So I think that's a big failure right there. I'm also really concerned why the Zoning Hearing Board granted 8 variances about developing what is now could be considered open space, undeveloped space. And I guess I'd ask, did the administration oppose this at all, or were they supportive? Did they show up at all?
We looked at the site, there's nothing else you can put on this site, any taxable reason would go there. We saw it as a use, the administration, we don't vote on stuff, we look at things. The use of that property back there for any other kind of taxable thing, that we couldn't see anything else going there. So we figured a storage facility, and they look like an office building. I thought maybe they'd have something to look at.
We do, if you'd like to see them, sure.
That being said, Mr. Sloan, the administration did not send my office or anyone to the zoning meeting to advocate for or against, and the same would be true of the Planning Commission.
Oh, yeah,
The administration
that's what you're asking.
did not advocate for or against in front of either of those boards.
Okay. I did take a look at the zoning hearing board minutes. I did find those on our township website. And one of the conditions for their approvals was a requirement that the woodlands that are present on the site be relocated. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So as part of the disturbance of woodlands, there's a fee associated with it and additional plantings that are required. We're complying with that. We're not asking for any additional relief.
Might want to take that down, people can.
So can you expand on that a little bit? So instead of relocating the woodlands, which was a condition of the approval of the zoning hearing board per the minutes, you're saying you're not going to relocate the woodlands?
I think the answer is we are intending to replant as many trees
On the site. That's what I was trying to understand.
Yes.
Is that happening on-site or off-site?
Right. At the direction of the township engineer, they will decide if we've reached a point where we can't physically accommodate any more trees we're required to replant on the site. If so, then we'll take direction from the staff as to where they go. But the intention is to
I'm aware of the fund, Joe.
maximize on the site.
Yeah, it says the zoning hearing board encourages applicant to prepare and implement a landscape plan using native species to recreate the woodland environment. So
Yeah, and I
that's,
did see the landscape plan in the
Yes.
the drawing, and
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
so I just want to make sure I was committing to the right thing. So there is a landscape plan associated with it, and it will be with native plantings.
Okay, Mr. Worcester, any comment on that? Because there was nothing in the WK2 letter about that.
I don't have an answer to that. The applicant was complying with that request by doing what they said they would do, so we didn't really have anything to say yes or no associated with it.
Well, it's a question of, does the landscape plan reflect relocation of the existing woodlands sufficiently, or are they going to have to pay fee into our tree fund?
I have to look at that plan. It hasn't been, it's been a while on that one. I could have it looked at by our professionals and get back to you.
And I wanted to pull the decision because I don't think that's how it read. That wasn't what we agreed to.
That was what was captured in the minutes that.
Well, it's actually in the decision here, which I have, it was prepared. It says the ZHB encourages applicant to prepare and implement a landscaping plan using natural species to recreate a woodlands environment. At no point did it say that we have to actually go one for one in replacement of trees. So the plan that we submitted as part of our application, and Mr. Orso, I'm going to talk over you, but the plan that we submitted as part of our application does just that. We're not asking for any waivers or any type of variances. There's some actually criteria in your ordinance, which is a zoning variance. We're not asking for anything. We're fully compliant in that regard.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have a copy of that decision?
I do.
Do you mind if I take a look at that? I trust you. I just want to see the language of it. I appreciate that. Okay. That's all the questions I have.
Mr. Kisselbeck?
Yeah, I have a few comments. First of all, I think this is an excellent plan for that location. As the mayor just said a moment ago, there is no other development or anything else that could go in that location that I could conceive of. The stormwater management plan is designed at 1 year. Pre-development is going to be 2.01. After development, it's going to be 1.24, which is a 77% decrease in the stormwater management flow. That's number one. Number two, as far as the traffic, this type of development has very, very small amount of automobiles, traffic going in and out of it throughout the day. So it's going to be very minimal in terms of activities in that location. So I was quite elated that something could actually even be there. Now, as far as the specifics of the environment, that we didn't have the information, you said we didn't get the information, that's another question that has to be addressed by the council also.
Anything else?
There is a letter from the Bensalem Police saying that they studied the traffic plans and think that it's not going to, based on the plans, this office does not foresee any traffic issues. That's by the Bensalem Township Police Traffic Safety Crime Prevention Unit. And then there is something from the Bensalem Township Fire Rescue Department. So you have, what kind of fire prevention do you have in a building like this? Because I mean, it looks like a nice building from the outside, so you really wouldn't know it was a storage center unless you belong to it, I guess. But and it will generate taxes, and people who work there, the company will have to pay on their earnings, and then people who work there will get jobs, and then people will have to pay their earned income tax. So it does generate income, so it's not just nothing. But what fire prevention does this type of building have?
No, that was the intent, to design it to not look like self-storage. That was what we were asked to do. But it's fully sprinklered, all 4 floors. So, and it does have, they do have regulations as to what can be stored in the facility as well. So there's no flammable or any materials that can be stored in there. But full fire prevention, there's a lot that goes into the architecture, but when it comes to just fire suppression system, it's a full sprinkler system inside.
Okay, who's going to be running the facility? A company that runs these type of
Yes.
things?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just so, and I think we all know, this is not our parents, what we thought about self-storage years ago. There's no outside storage. There's no separate buildings outside that you would put boats or trailers or things like that. Everything is self-contained, climate-controlled, accessed only internally. So, and it's designed to look like an office building, so.
If nothing else, gentlemen, a motion would be in.
I just have one.
Oh, sorry,
I just have
Joe.
one or two things.
Yep.
I noticed there's a bunch of head walls around the property of runoff. If they collapse or have issues, you will replace them, correct?
Of course.
And you'll take care of any stagnant water that has the puddle. because we all know that the roadway there, you guys are going to disturb it. There's going to be some settling that's going to happen over time, mosquitoes and stuff like that, so.
Yes, sir.
I did see that, and I thought I saw there's a fence around the property 3/4 of the way, not fully around. Did I miss that?
No, so that's correct, and I can explain that. So the way that it works is you want to have the ability for vehicles to actually come onto the site. So if they want to get to the office or they want to be a new customer without having a key card access, and any deliveries that were to come in, mail, just come into the front. The way that it works is there's 2 drive aisles on either side of the building. In order to get into the facility where you can access the units, you have to go through a security gate, which would then open for a personalized key code and then close behind them. So the building's secure, it's just we have to maintain access along the front.
So there's a portion of the property that has no fence line that's closest to the turnpike, so somebody can walk
Correct.
onto the property.
Correct.
That would be the only
Way in and out.
security issue if someone's walking down the street. Not that if you're gonna walk by the state police department, that's your own fault. They can do something.
Can't get in.
If you're walking on
That's
the
a whole
turnpike,
nother
that's a
matter.
different
All
story.
right, I just, because you said earlier that the property was surrounded by fence, I noticed that was not totally there. So, all right, so in the event of storm issues with collapsion, you guys are gonna take care of it, it's not gonna be a problem with the state, because I'm assuming the state owns the property around it, or the county. All right, yeah, those are my only those are my only couple questions.
If nothing else, motion would be in order.
I'll put a motion on the floor, Mr. President, that we accept the applicant to provide us with a storage center, and I'm looking for it at Lincoln Highway, self-storage, BSTO 120. I'm looking for, here it is, the tax map parcel is 02-001-035. This is based on a May 14th letter from WK2, and the applicant will pay in lieu of the traffic impact fee of not in lieu of, but it will pay the impact traffic fee of $18,828.81, as well as the non-construction of curbs and sidewalks, and will pay the fee of $13,500, as well as $24,030, and that would be for the sidewalks. Any other fees would be paid for by the applicant, which... And then the extra trees would be part of the applicant's responsibility, and it would be coordinated by the township engineer. Mr. Solicitor, any other fees involved? Covered?
No, that was it, traffic impact, curb, and sidewalks.
Okay.
Right.
And then, as you mentioned, the
Trees.
landscaping plan, subject to the approval of the township engineer. And again, of course, kind of goes without saying, but compliance with the engineer's review letter, as well as any conditions from the zoning hearing board.
Okay, that's my motion.
Mr. Kisbay, does that also include the waivers? Did I miss that?
I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what? Thanks.
Yep,
I
yep.
should have gone through these.
No
I had them
problem.
marked here too. Yeah, there are different ways, several waivers.
Yep, 3 waivers.
that I
3
would
waivers,
ask. I'm
right.
sorry. What'd you say?
3 waivers.
Yeah, that's several.
Okay.
They were outlined and justified in the January 21st, 2026.
We got it.
Got it?
Thank you.
Section
Okay.
1, this is a waiver, section 196-61-B1, to allow for a pipe to be smaller than 18 inches. This waiver has been added to the record plan, and this is being requested. Section 196-61B-12, to allow a pipe to have less than the required 2 feet of cover, that's on top of it, and this waiver was added to the record plan also. And number 3, section 196-61E7, to allow for a 3-to-1 slope outside of the proposed above-ground basin, whereas the 4-to-1 otherwise is provided.
Okay. Thank you,
So,
Mr. Kisbay.
Yeah, I ask
Appreciate
for
it.
those waivers to be granted.
Thank you. And included in that motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. The application has been motioned for approval and acceptance, and a second. I'll call the vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any against?
Nay.
I'm a nay as well. Did I hear your?
Do you have a final vote today?
I'm waiting for one other individual.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah.
I like the projects, I don't like the variances that were given. I don't think our zoning hearing board did a very good job with this.
Well, the variances are predicated on the actual, not the location of the property, but the geographic,
Understand?
all right.
It's a good project for that area, but at the same time, there's a lot of concerns that our zoning and hearing board totally, I think, overlooked. And we've been having that problem for a while, it seems. I'd like to see you come back with a smaller footprint. I'm going to vote nay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Do we need before we move to the next agenda item, if folks, what time is it? Yeah, would you mind, I know we got the next item coming up, and I'm expecting that to be somewhat lengthy. Would you mind if we take a quick 3 to 5 minute recess real quick, just to, okay, all right. So I plan on getting this meeting back at 8, it's 8:40 now, so 8:45, we'll get this meeting back. Okay? All right, we're in a recess. Thank you. here. I know this number 10 is gonna be somewhat lengthy. So we're gonna move to agenda number 10 on the agenda this evening. Let me, I want to make sure that everybody's, all right. Number 10, agenda, declaration of substantive invalidity of portions of the Bensalem Township zoning ordinance and of enacting a curative amendment pursuant to section 609.2 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, considered the MPC. And let me start with this. Being on the county planning board, I had seen a lot of the community activity regarding what was going on in Falls Township. So several weeks ago, I approached the mayor, I approached the solicitor in regards to drafting an ordinance here in Bensalem Township to address data centers. I would say that they were completely supportive of the idea. And then we went to work in doing such that. And at that time, we found that there were a lot more details to an ordinance for a data center than we actually had imagined. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Pizzo to just kind of give us a summary regarding the work that was started, and then just to kind of speak to the curative amendment that's on the agenda this evening, please.
Thank you, Mr. Tungmajian. Yes, we did, at the behest of council and the mayor, start to work on preparing an ordinance for the township regulating data centers. And so that process started with obviously taking a look at our ordinance and see what it currently says. And there is, as you would expect, no specific definition in our ordinance at this time to define a data center as we've come to know them in the last handful of years. And so the next step was to start to gather information. We went to the County Planning Commission. They provided us with some insight as to what they've been working on in this regard. And we also looked at white papers, model ordinances, and other information from planning commissions in Allegheny County, where Pittsburgh's located, Chester and Montgomery counties, Lancaster County, York County, Cumberland County, and Monroe County here in Pennsylvania, all of whom have either issued recommendations to local municipalities or in fact have put together model ordinances for the regulation of data centers. We also looked to see what communities had actually adopted any regulations, and as you might expect at this moment, there are few who have. West Rock Hill Township here in Bucks County has, Upper Gwinnett Township has, and East Manchester Township in York County are three that we looked at in terms of ordinances that are currently in place. One of the things that immediately jumped out at us was, for as many different definitions, resources that we went to, there were no two that defined a data center in the same way. They are as sophisticated as a structure used primarily for the processing, management, storing, and/or transmission of digital data that houses and/or operates computers and/or computer network systems and associated equipment related to digital data operations, all the way to a building that has computer servers. And I'm being a little, simplifying a little bit, but it's that sort of a broad spectrum of what different municipalities are defining or considering what a data center is. So one of the first tasks that we had was we've got to figure out what our definition of a data center is going to be. And in making that consideration, not only did we have to figure out what constituted the data center, but what are the various accessory uses, which is a term of art in zoning ordinances. You have a primary use, which in this case would be the data center, however it's defined, and then accessory uses, things that would be on the property that aren't part of the primary use but are necessary for the operation. For all of you, your homes are the primary use of your piece of land. A shed in the backyard might be considered an accessory use, and a different set of regulations govern how close the shed can be to the side yard, how many square feet it can be, those sorts of things. Well, we have to take into account similar considerations for accessory uses for data centers. So the next place we went, and when I'm saying we, I was working with our Director of Building and Planning, Ken Farrell. Mr. Ferris was working with me as well. We then said, well, we're all watching the news. We're all seeing that this is happening in communities all over the region, Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And there's discussions taking place at the state level. Let's see what the state has. As of today, there are, I believe, about 16 bills that are currently pending in the State House that in one way or another would affect data centers, where they can be located, how they impact electricity, what local municipalities can do. In one case, one of the bills would call for a moratorium on the construction of data centers. From what I understand in speaking with Senator Farry's staff, at this point only one of those bills is out of committee, and there is a companion bill pending in the state Senate as well, along with 4 other bills, again, dealing with data centers. At this point, no laws have actually been adopted by the State House or the State Senate that specifically govern data centers. And of course, the governor's office has announced the Governor's Responsible Infrastructure Development Standards, or the acronym is GRID. And so that also is weighing into at least the things we're looking at as we're trying to decide what works for Bensalem Township, which ultimately is what our concern is. One of the things that we found as we looked at all of this information up to this point is a lot of what's being generated today in the form of model ordinances, proposed ordinances at different locations throughout the state largely envision the construction of a new, from the ground up data center on a large piece of ground that was probably at one point in time a farm somewhere in Cumberland or Lancaster or Monroe County. And not so much the repurposing of a building, let's say a 100,000 or less square foot warehouse. And that would seem to be, to some extent, the greater concern for us here in Bensalem. The 100-acre farms were taken care of by development in the 60s and 70s. And today, what we do have are industrial complexes, warehouse facilities that could be 50,000, 70,000, 100,000 square feet. And while they wouldn't necessarily be useful to Amazon, who's building, as I understand it, over 1 million square feet up at the old steel mill, but a 100,000 square foot building might be useful for a single user, a single business who needs the AI, the data storage, the cloud storage, whatever it is that the data center is being used for. And so we need to take into consideration, as we're looking at all this, not only the idea of somebody who wants to build the 500,000 or 1,000,000 square feet, but somebody who wants to come in and look at a 100,000 square foot building and repurpose that into a data center. In looking at all of these things, one of the other things that started to become apparent to us, and I've shared it on several discussions now with Mr. Tokmajian, are just the myriad of issues that the data centers bring. I already talked about the defining exactly what it is. There's also the question, of course, is then where are we going to provide for them in the township? And understand that, and we had a similar discussion with a group of residents a couple weeks ago on a different matter. The township can't say, we don't want data centers anywhere in the township and we're going to ban them. We just cannot do that. Pennsylvania zoning laws require for us to provide for every conceivable use of land somewhere in the township.
Wait,
And so if we don't have a specific use defined within our zoning ordinance and don't have a specific location for a use, a developer can come into the township and essentially say, well, you don't provide for the use that I want to make of the land anywhere in the township. And so through a process that's called a curative amendment, I'm now going to declare a curative amendment and I'm going to force my use onto a piece of land that I might own, which may otherwise not be a great location for it. But because we haven't provided for it anywhere else in the township, Pennsylvania zoning law says that that use could potentially be imposed on that piece of land.
Okay,
Hold on, let him finish, and then what we'll do is I'll just have public comment afterwards, if that's okay, all right?
So, and again, I'm speaking in a hypothetical here, but what we do have at the moment is we now know that there are a growing number of locations in the state that have a defined use of a data center. And we now have a better understanding of exactly what the issues are that a data center entails. We now, as a township, have to turn around and start to address those issues so that we're the ones making the decisions and not someone who's going to come in and try and force it on us. So in addition, again, we have to define it. We have to figure out where we want them. We have to decide things, and these are things that are already in our zoning ordinance for all other uses in the township. How big a piece of land, what the minimum size has to be, or what the minimum size of the structure has to be. In addition to that, things again that you deal with all the time, perhaps with your own homes, side yard setbacks, building heights, impervious surface coverage, building coverage, all of those dimensional standards we now have to come up with for Bensalem Township for data centers. In addition to those, and those are things that we would normally have, they're throughout our zoning ordinance today. But one of the other issues that clearly has become a hot button topic on data centers is energy. Sourcing of energy to operate the data centers. They clearly require a significant amount of power, typically electric, to operate all of the servers that are in the building, together with the cooling systems that are necessary to cool the building and keep the servers cool. And so we need to determine what the primary source of the power can be and whether that can be located on the site, whether the backup power, because if the primary source goes down, they're going to be looking to have backup generators to keep the system running, or else, quite frankly, your phones are going to stop working, your laptops are going to stop working. So they're going to want to have the backup power as well. And whether the backup systems can be on site and what they can be, whether they're going to be generators, whether they're going to be electrical substations, whether they're going to be batteries, whether they're going to be solar powered, whether they're going to be wind powered. All of these things are things that we now have to take into consideration as we're looking at data centers. On top of that, there's also the question of utility lines, because if the power is coming from PICO, from an outside source, how are the power lines going to get there? Where are the power lines going to be located? Are they going to be above ground? Do they have to be underground? And the same is going to hold true likely for fiber optic cables that are used in the transmission of the data. On top of that, there are similar issues as far as the transmission of the data that may require cell towers. And they may be looking to communicate with the cloud by way of a cell tower rather than through fiber optic cables. The cooling of the buildings, as I said, whether it's going to be done by AC units, where are the AC units going to be? Are they going to be roof mounted? Are we going to require them to be on the ground? How are they going to be powered? And in looking at the cooling, one of the other things we've come to discover, or come to learn, I should say, is that water is being used to cool some of these facilities in some location. Water that's potentially being drawn out of the Delaware, out of the Neshaminy Creek. I don't know how that functions, but it is an issue that needs to be taken into consideration because some of these facilities are water cooled. And in some cases, it may require the construction of a water tower on the property to store the water in case the water supply somehow gets interrupted. But we're not done. There's a question of noise, which was one that I'm sure is, near and dear to the hearts of everybody in this room, including everyone sitting up here. Noise that might be generated by the servers, noise that might be generated by the air conditioning, noise that might be generated by electric generating facilities located on the property. Are we going to require sound walls? Are we going to require berming, buffering? What are the noise standards that are going to be applied to the property? What are the decibel levels going to be set at? How are we going to measure those? All of these are things that potentially need to be included, or at least part of the process in coming up with the ordinance. The aesthetics of the buildings itself. We heard a little discussion just a few minutes ago about the self-storage building is 4 stories and it's made to look like an office building. It's not your mother's or grandfather's self-storage like public storage with the orange garage doors around the perimeter. What are we going to require of these buildings? And again, one of the things is going to be height, but what are the buildings going to be required to look like? And along with that, what kind of landscaping or other considerations? How far back from the road are they going to be required to sit? Security becomes an issue. And what kind of security are they going to be required to function? Emergency services. Are they going to be required to have an emergency response plan? Because if one of these buildings catch fire, our first responders need to get in and know what they're dealing with and how best to deal with it. And then finally, if these become obsolete in another 20 years and they start to decommission, what are going to be the requirements for taking these buildings out of service? So these are just a few. But the list I gave you is, I think, largely the lion's share of issues that in starting to put together an ordinance, we realized that we were going to have to address. Whether they'll actually all be in the ordinance or not is still part of the process, but these are all issues that we need to take into consideration. And in some cases, some of these issues are already governed by the state. A lot of the environmental issues, there are already state environmental laws in place, but we need to acknowledge what those are and make sure that we're dealing with them as well.
So with that on the agenda, Mr. Pizzo, can you just quickly summarize for council the resolution that's in front of us this evening?
Yes, thank you. So, I consulted with the mayor and with the council president and suggested to them that rather than start a process of announcing that we were going to adopt an ordinance, going through that rather lengthy process, and perhaps opening the door to somebody coming in and beating us to the punch. There's a process in Pennsylvania land use and zoning law called, as I mentioned earlier, a curative amendment. Generally, they're undertaken by landowners to challenge the township's zoning ordinance. But the state allows for the township to declare its own curative amendment, a municipal curative amendment. It allows us to say, hey, you know what? We acknowledge that our ordinance is deficient. It doesn't adequately address this new and ever-changing technology. And in real time, it gives us the ability to say, we're going to take a break and we're going to fix and create a zoning ordinance to address data centers. And so I prepared for the township, and it's on tonight's agenda, this resolution, which is a declaration of substantive invalidity for portions of our zoning ordinance. And in one parenthetical, in looking at our ordinance and going back over things, what we realized was not only do we need to address data centers, but we do have on the books provisions for solar energy systems. And they were put in place about 15 years ago when solar energy was becoming more prevalent in the township. But our ordinance doesn't take into account the potential of somebody creating a solar farm, either on the data center property or on an adjacent property, to help power this thing. So not only are we suggesting to the council that we come up with regulations for a data center, but also that we take a new look at our solar energy provisions and make sure that they reflect conditions in 2026 and also reflect the needs of the data centers for power. And on top of that, our ordinance doesn't provide for wind generation, wind power anywhere. So we want to correct that as well as part of this process. So I think it would behoove us, President, if I read the pertinent part of the resolution publicly and into the record.
Sure. The whole thing?
I'll take it from the be it resolved.
Be it resolved. Okay.
And just the three Roman numeral sections. So we're recommending to council that they adopt the following resolution. 1, that the council has determined and hereby declares the substantive invalidity of the Bensalem Township zoning ordinance as it fails to adequately define and regulate certain various uses, as well as to provide for their permissibility in specific zoning districts of the township, which such uses include, but are not limited to, the use commonly referred to as a data center, together with all such similar, accessory, or appurtenant uses thereto. Second, the council has determined and hereby declares that Section 232-60 of the Bensalem Township zoning ordinance, entitled Solar Energy Systems Overlay, may be substantively invalid as it requires various revisions, including but not limited to revisions to reflect changes in solar energy uses and technology, since the time of its adoption, together with revisions to the definitions, regulations, and specific zoning districts of the township within which solar energy systems and solar energy facilities, together with all such similar accessory and appurtenant uses thereto, are permitted. Third, the council has determined and hereby declares the substantive invalidity of the Bensalem Township zoning ordinance, as it fails to adequately define and regulate certain various uses, as well as to provide for their permissibility in specific zoning districts of the township, which such uses include but are not limited to the use commonly referred to as a wind energy system, together with all such similar accessory or appurtenant uses thereto. And finally, the township administration and the township solicitor are directed to review the township zoning office's zoning ordinance to determine whether any other currently existing defined uses and definitions and/or regulations applicable thereto require revision at this time, and whether additional uses and definitions should be added to the township zoning ordinance. What that last part means, that is, while we undertake this process, if there's something else that we identify that isn't among the three categories that I specified, council's giving us the direction to include them as well.
And Mr. Pizzo, that limits us to a certain amount of time for this curative amendment?
You're correct. So in the next 30 days, we'll undertake the review to see if there's anything else that we think should be included. And if so, we'll bring that back to you within the next 30 days. The clock starts running tonight once council adopts this resolution, and we have 180 days to adopt a new ordinance that would address data centers, solar energy uses, and wind uses. So the clock starts running on us tonight.
Got it. Okay.
One other thing that we need to take into consideration and why we wanted to undergo this thorough review is that once we undertake this municipal curative amendment, we are prohibited from doing it again for a period of 36 months. So once we come up with a set of regulations, those are the regulations that are in place. But during this next 180 days, nobody can come into the township and say, well, you don't have the municipal, you don't have a data center in your zoning ordinance, so I'm coming in and you've got to let me put it in an LI district or a GI district or who knows, a BP district. That can't happen, and that's the important aspect of declaring the municipal curative amendment. It buys us some time and some breathing room to get the zoning ordinance in order and address this obviously very important aspect. We're hoping for some further or additional direction coming out of Harrisburg. There seems to be some willingness or some concern that local municipalities don't have all the tools in the toolbox, if you will, to deal with this. And one of the other aspects that's being discussed, as I understand it, out in Harrisburg, is that the energy use is a concern because in some municipalities, or in some regions, I guess, what's happening is they're drawing the electric off the grid and the local energy providers aren't able to keep up. And part of what's happening is it's resulting in a myriad of problems regarding energy supply in those areas, including, as I understand it, increased electric rates. So one of the things that is being dealt with in real time, I believe is, and I believe the PUC is involved in this as well, is coming up with some regulations that require these data centers to be somewhat self-sufficient, that they're not drawing the electric off the grid and having that domino effect, but rather they've got to provide their own, which is good as far as I assume people's pocketbooks are concerned, but perhaps not so good as it deals with land use, because if the data center can't draw the power off of the grid, then they're going to look to generate it on their property. So
Thank-
these are all things we need to take into consideration. I apologize for being a tad long-winded, but I'm hopeful that the rather long explanation might take care of a number of the questions that you all have. And to the extent that you were concerned that the township is not being proactive, your government is, and we are hopefully ahead of the curve on this.
Thank you, Mr. Pizzo. Real quick, I know, before we have, I just want to have a brief discussion here at council, and then I'll allow public comment. I just want to, for transparency purposes to the board, I did ask Mr. Pizzo to at least make the attempt to draft the first initial draft resolution, or ordinance, and then at that point, then he could then provide that to us, and then we could comment and provide any additional items that we want to see added to that ordinance, similar to how we handled the RCO earlier in the year. I just felt it would be better doing it that way. And with that said, too, as well, I just want to be cognizant of the time, and we have a lot of public comment. So I didn't want to get into the specificity of the details of the ordinance. What I would recommend for council to do is to email Mr. Pizzo with anything that you would like to see as bucket list items included in the ordinance. Just a summary discussion, if you will, here this evening. And then, Mr. Pizzo, if you would, take those comments that you receive from council via over the next, I guess, couple weeks, via email, what have you, and then also the public comment for this evening. And then we would hope to see some sort of draft ordinance at some point. And I was thinking, and I'm sorry I didn't run this by you, but I'm thinking September 1.
That would be fine.
Okay.
That's
Just to set some sort of benchmark as far as
Sure.
what we're going to aim towards. Okay? I'll turn to council if you have anything in particular that you wanted to.
I've got a couple here. Mr. Pizzo, are you aware of any applications that have already been submitted to the township for any data center projects?
I am aware of a request for a zoning certification that came in some time ago for a property in Trevose, but But at this point, no formal applications have been made for the site. Just at that point, a request for whether or not the use would be permitted under the current zoning of the property.
And this resolution would essentially preempt that so that we could have our time to figure out the code?
That is our belief.
Okay.
Now, for purposes of full disclosure, if the property owner were to come in tomorrow with a set of applications and say, well, you gave me a zoning cert and I relied on that to go about doing X, Y, and Z, we're probably in a legal battle. But,
Okay.
But
that's not what kicked off this whole discussion.
That's
This
not.
was, this is really independent of that. So it sounds like the clock is ticking. We've got 6 months. We'll see a draft resolution within 3 months. My personal view is don't wait for Harrisburg because frankly, they've already published information. I've sent you a couple different articles
Yes.
from professional engineering societies. The state has already laid out a lot of guidelines for municipalities to follow. I don't think we need to wait for additional legislation. The guidelines are there. Let's move with those guidelines, number one. And I think you listed a lot of the concerns that were on my list here. I will email them to you, but for the benefit of the public that's joining us tonight, I just want you all to know these are the things that are on my list of what the new code needs to at least consider, if not include, and that does include utility demand. There's a lot of municipalities, a lot of regulations out there that are requiring data center developers to bring their own energy. And so that's something that we need to consider. Noise issues, generator use and placement, usage of water, and how all of that utility factors into utility rates, like PICO rates, water rates from Aqua, Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority, building size and height, setbacks, screening and buffering, emergency response, decommissioning of these facilities if and when they eventually do close, job creation, what is the benefit to the township, to the residents, to our local businesses. These are just some of the concerns. And so I know that there's a lot of folks here that have very similar concerns. I can assure you, this is my list. I wrote it down ahead of time, wanted to read it to you. We're going to make sure that this does get addressed, and I will make sure that this does get sent to the solicitor.
And I think every item that you just mentioned was somewhere in my
Yes,
recitation
so-
this evening, so I think we've got you covered.
Everything was in there.
Anything else from any council
Yeah,
members?
I had a question. Joe, because I talked to you about this too, and how big is the Falls Township one that's on the steel mill property? Is that approved and moving forward?
That is approved and under construction.
Okay, I just want to clarify that.
I
So did
understand-
the Bucks County Planning Commission turn that down? They went over you and approved it in Falls
It
Township?
never came in front of the Bucks County Planning Commission because the use was already, the use wasn't specified in the project plan for Falls Township. So.
Okay, I thought you said just,
The-
I thought you said that's how you
Let me
learned
be
about
clear.
it.
The project came in front of the Bucks County Planning Commission. At that time, there was no data centers that were involved in discussions. Whatever that commercial use was approved at that time, whatever the definition of it was at that time. I don't believe there was any data center.
Okay, but it
items
got
in that.
approved in Falls Township as well. But, okay, so it got approved in Falls Township. So how big is, one second.
You're right.
One second. How big is the one in Falls Township that's being built?
My understanding is the building that's currently under construction is in excess of 1 million square feet.
1 million square feet.
That's my understanding,
And it's
but
approved in Falls Township.
that's correct. But
It's approved on the steel mill.
But at the steel mill,
It's a
where,
very large.
you know,
It's an industrial park.
Okay, but so,
Industrial property.
but is it
60,
true?
60,
Okay,
60,
hold on.
70
Wait,
years
wait,
ago, there was a
is it
steel
true-
mill there.
Is it true, because someone brought this to my attention, I didn't realize, is it true they're using the Delaware River to cool this?
I don't know any more about the Falls project other than what I
Well,
understand to
is
be
that
its
big- Is that
size.
big enough that there would be no need to have it in Bensalem because it'd be like a regional thing?
I believe that and again, I risk saying something that's incorrect, but I believe Amazon is ultimately the end user of what's being built in Falls. So Amazon, I think, will probably use
Yeah, I
it
mean,
all.
I never walked the steel mill, but I know when I went to Egan, everybody that worked there, you know what I mean? So I know that'd be pretty big. I
These
know
aren't regional projects
I
that
know.
like one suffices the entire area, like a cell tower or something. It doesn't work
Yeah,
like
but
that.
if it's 1 million square feet, that's gonna put a lot,
Yeah, but
that's
it's
gonna
only,
create a lot.
it's only used for Amazon. So Microsoft's gonna wanna come in and then,
Right.
Amazon's
Okay,
gonna,
my point is-
insert
Okay.
next
Oh, I'm just-
billionaire
I'm
that
just
wants to
asking.
bring
We
one
don't
in.
have we don't have 1 million square foot piece of,
One of the other things that we did in this process, I didn't mention, but I visited a data center in Upper Providence, a smaller one, because again, we were thinking more along the lines of what might fit here in the township. And that's a sole user. It's a company, I forget the name of it, but it's their data center for their needs. So it's not like Amazon or,
it's gonna be a giant data center.
I don't think they knew it at the time, but.
They didn't know it.
We have a 240,000 square foot building that's currently open right now off of State Road, so.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. All right.
Aware of that, yeah.
Any other questions or comments before I turn?
I'm glad we're on
to-
top of it, though. You know, it's good.
Yeah, no, that's the good thing, is that we're being proactive in this.
Now,
And credit to the public too as well.
One more
for-
question. Is the governor's office for this or against data centers in general? For
So
it, right?
if you look at the grid initiative, it's basically, if you don't follow these heavy restrictions and play by the rules of the state, and they're pretty strict about what those regulations are
Yeah,
that
but
they're
we're
trying to
gonna
put
be
out.
pretty strict, too.
If you try to go around them, you're going to fail. That's essentially.
Well, we're gonna be pretty strict too. We're gonna be pretty strict too.
Yeah.
I don't like
Because they're voluntary because they're not statutory right now, because we lack the legislation in the state at this point. However, if they follow the rules, then it opens up funding pathways and subsidies and things of that nature. So I can assure you that they all want funding help. No one wants to pay 100% out of pocket. All of these companies are looking for something like that.
Anything else?
No, I just don't want to, I don't know that they're doing that, but to me, if they're drawing water from the Delaware River and putting it back at a warmer temperature, that's not good.
Well, and then there's environmental impact
That actually is not
assessments.
terrible.
Hold on a second.
That is actually, hold on, that is actually not terrible because the fish and it creates more
No, so
pools for fishers.
Gentlemen,
It's a very.
again, this is the reason why we're passing this curative amendment.
Okay.
It'll give us the time to go through these details. All right? Yeah. Anything generally?
Yeah, I just have a quick comment, and I would be most concerned about them being self-sustaining, and so they don't have to go to an outside source for energy, as well as the size of the property. I think there'd have to be some type of ordinance that would relate to the different size projects, as you had alluded to, like Joe's keeps talking about this $1 million.
Square foot.
Yeah, which,
Million acres, million square foot.
Million square foot.
Million square foot.
what I'm saying, I don't think that's germane to us in Bensalem, but it has to be developed relative to the size of the project itself, different ordinances to address the concerns. That's the main things I'd be interested in.
Thank you very much. Before I ask for a motion for the agenda item, I'll go to public comment. So if you want to speak, I would ask that you come out. Please state your name and your address, if you would, please. Yeah, at the podium. Yep.
Form a line,
Yep.
please, if you want to.
Yeah, if you want to go.
This one, that one?
That one's good.
Here?
Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Emily Rose Patz. I live at 6241 East Drive. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Full disclosure, I don't want to be here. I'm not an activist. I'm a Bensalem resident. I'm a creative professional. I'm a mom. And because of the failure of our leadership, the betrayal of our leadership at all levels of government on both sides of the aisle, I need to be here today. The neighbors who have joined me, they're ready to address the facts about data centers that concern them, and they're going to do a great job at it. So I want to take my time here to address all of you. I'm sure that when you began your tenure, people chose you. When you began your tenure, they trusted you. You could have never predicted such a consequential decision would come to your table. But here we are. What we see happening in so many communities around Pennsylvania and our country is horrifying. The lack of responsibility, the lack of care, shown by people who we entrusted the land that Pennsylvanians call home. It's unsettling and it's wrong. We are here today to tell you that we, the residents of Bensalem, want data center protections now. We request updates to zoning that make our town, from the empty storefronts in Chamonix Mall to the desolate industrial area that you just spoke of along State Road, to be untouchable to developers who would usher in data centers that we know pollute our air and water, that we know steal our electricity, and then they charge us for it, and they decimate our property values. That is coming. Rather than welcoming data centers that power technology that brings us further apart, we want to see these areas become the third spaces, the gathering places that we are so starved for. The Chamonix Mall was the place to be when I was growing up. I remember my mom's love of the BOGO sales at Payless Shoes, tossing pennies into the Native American fountain, my hardcore teenage mall rat phase that introduced me to lifelong friends, and the excitement of strolling among holiday shoppers and decor at Christmas time. Bring it back. We need that. Our children need that. And as for State Road, how about a waterfront destination for venues, restaurants, parks? Anyone been to the shows at Palanca Park years ago? They were crazy. And how about a place where our children can experience the magic of an unplugged 90s summer? There is so much good that can come from this moment. I know everybody's pissed off. I know everybody's scared. but there's so much good. Neighbors are actually putting aside politics for once and banding together, and we're discovering that the value of human connection, human experiences, and human voices, we've missed that because it's not red versus blue. At this point, it's the 99% versus the people at the top. And you know what? We gifted you all the opportunity to be the people at the top. You know, and I have to say that while it stands out as the silver lining, talking to my neighbors, your constituents, the thing that rattled me more than anything is some of the things that they said. This is a waste of time. Nothing will ever change. You will follow the money. Your voice, my voice, our voices don't matter. None of it matters at all. And looking at what's happening around our state and our country, the packed rooms just being waved off, how could I blame them? How could I tell them that they're wrong? I am asking you here today to do something radical. I am asking you to prove those people wrong. I am asking you to tell big tech and the politicians who betrayed their constituents, no, not here. Bensalem belongs to us. And when you do, you won't be forgotten, like many people before you who followed the status quo. You will be hailed as the ones who set the standard by Americans in and well beyond our town. You will be remembered as exceptional. Thank you so much for your time.
Wow, that was great. Thank you. You're part of the reason why I'm here tonight, actually. I'm the one that has that. You'll hear it in a few seconds. Wow. I'm about to catch you up on about the other 2/3 of what you were. My name is Kevin Tilsner. I actually live in Trevose, 600 Old Street Road. Okay? I live in Trevose, work in Warminster. I'm here because what happens in Bensalem doesn't stay in Bensalem. We share groundwater systems and regional contamination risks, aquifer boundaries, and aquifer boundaries do not follow township lines. We share the electrical grid, we share the roads, we share the air, we share the consequences, which means we share responsibility to the land, air, and water. Let me begin by saying I am not anti-technology. I use AI every day. I genuinely believe it can do extraordinary things. Right now, researchers are using AI to help detect diseases early, identify diabetic eye disease before people lose vision, assist doctors in finding cancer sooner, and help people like myself who are on the spectrum communicate, learn, and solve problems in ways that were impossible just a few years ago. That matters. Those benefits are real, so I'm not here to throw rocks at servers like a Luddite family reunion. I'm here because it matters how powerful technologies are deployed, where they're deployed, what they consume, and who benefits. Because the cloud is not a cloud, it's an industrial building full of overheated hardware. Calling it the cloud may be one of the greatest branding achievements in human history. It sounds like a fluffy white thing floating over a cute little Windows 95 meadow. In reality, it's a warehouse full of computers that consumes enormous amounts of electricity, cooling, and water. Some facilities use millions of gallons of water per day, not per year, per day. Those numbers are... At those numbers, the phrase drinks water starts sounding less like a metaphor and more like a police report. And then there's the grid. Our electrical grid is currently held together with duct tape, prayer, and a squirrel that hasn't chewed the wrong wire yet. Before we connect facilities that consume electricity like they're training for the Olympics, maybe we should, make sure the grid is ready. As usual, the debate puts me between two sides. But ideas thrive there. They've thrived there before, and I love that battleground. One side says stop everything. The other side says approve everything. One gives up the benefits, the other ignores the costs. Neither approach is serious. Sorry. Fortunately, there's a third path. Pennsylvania has already started moving in that direction. On May 27th, Governor Shapiro signed the executive order establishing Commonwealth's Grid Initiative requiring state-supported data center projects to disclose water consumption, energy demand, and community impacts before receiving support. At the same time, lawmakers in Harrisburg have introduced measures aimed at ensuring that large data centers pay for the infrastructure burdens they create instead of shifting those costs onto residents through higher utility rates and strained public resources. Whether you agree with every detail or not, the important point is Pennsylvania is no longer asking whether data centers matter. Pennsylvania is asking how they should be built. The vocabulary exists. What I am concerned with, maybe missing, is the local will to use it. It's on you guys, I'm guessing. So here's the principle I would ask for the township to adopt. The data center should not be allowed to behave like an isolated fortress. If it wants access to our grid, our roads, our water, our zoning, and our watershed, then it should function as part of a community resource loop. It should give something back. That is not a radical idea. It's already happening elsewhere. In parts of Europe, waste heat from data centers have been captured and used to heat homes and buildings. The same heat we often treat as waste is being turned into a public benefit. That heat could help support wastewater treatment. It could help dry industrial sludge. It could help recover water. It could reduce operating costs for municipal infrastructure. The technology exists. The question is whether we choose to require it, and that's really what my speech is about, not technology, but governance. Because technology amplifies whatever system is placed inside. If the incentives are good, you tend to get more good. If the incentives are bad, who knows? The server racks are not making the decisions. Apparently you people are. And we're going to make decisions that affect our water, our grid, and our future, and we should do it with our eyes open, require transparency, real water accounting, real grid accounting, require enforceable community benefits, require independent monitoring, require public reporting, and require that residents have a voice before the concrete is poured, not after. Because once a facility is built, the leverage largely disappears. The truth is that I'm not worried about the technology. I'm worried about whether we've become too comfortable building systems that consume the conditions of their own existence. A civilization that destroys its water to power its intelligence is not intelligent. A civilization that weakens its communities to maximize efficiency is not becoming stronger. It is liquidating itself. We can do better than that. We can insist that infrastructure serves the community that it hosts. We can insist that growth and stewardship are not enemies, because to be honest, that's really where it comes down to. We can insist that innovation carries responsibility. The server racks are not the product. A healthy community is the product. We share consequences, and we deserve a say in that. Thank you.
Afternoon. My name is Carl Genzel. I live at 1319 Woodbine Ave. I just recently found out that there's going to be some nice new car paths nearby. So I'm a local union 420 steam fitter. I work in building automation specialties, so control of everything from small schools to the Comcast Technology Center, Jefferson University, Children's Hospital, Philadelphia. And I work in data centers, like I was in one today. They are not a new thing. Data centers have existed for decades and they will continue to exist. But the issue that most of the people in this room has is the modern adaptation of a data center, which is these AI megastructures. And obviously, yeah, 1 million square foot, that's a different story. But even the small scale ones in a 340,000 square foot event, and with the idea that they would be generating on-site power the amount of noise pollution is obscene. I have personally been responsible for commissioning 4 different 4-megawatt diesel power generators for an AI data center in Philadelphia. They're 20-cylinder quad turbo. They use 120 gallons of diesel per minute. Like, it is an obscene construction. It is a train engine inside of a building. And despite, modern diesel particulate filters, and you have urea injection, which is like the diesel exhaust fluid that you would have in a modern diesel truck, they're still massive polluters and expensive and loud and all those other things. And we've all seen the videos of like Elon Musk's data centers that powering Grok and other things, where he has jet turbines running, and the noise pollution is just obscene. Now, earlier we were speaking, a big part of your guys' job is to define what a data center is, and it seems like you guys have honest things in the works to put things in place to protect us. And, data centers exist. There's one in Levittown that I work at for the Bank of America data center, and it's a normal data center that has some server racks in it, and it's responsible for all of our cell phones working and tap to pay at Wawa. What we don't want is these mega scale ones that have like 80 to 150 kilowatts per single rack unit, where the ones in the data centers now, you would have a megawatt rollout, which would be hundreds of racks. And they're now trying to condense that into 4 or less, which just, it's more heat, it's more power, it's more water, and everybody's power bill is affected. I live in a 1,200 square foot rancher, and my power bill over the winter was in excess of $600. And I have smart thermostats, multiple zones in my house, and it's still very expensive to live. That goes without saying to everybody here. We're all aware of gas prices, but it's important to note that the real thing is if what we're arguing about is how to define it, we need to say, you can build a data center somewhere, but you can't have 14 diesel generators, within 150 feet of somebody's house. Like, if you want to set some rules, that makes sense, but you can't have some sort of ambiguous thing where, like, you have to supply your own power and then allow them to dump 750,000 BTUs into the air every minute. But yeah, that's all for me tonight. Thank you.
So my little talk seems a little elementary compared. Oh, I'm
don't
sorry.
mind,
I'm
please.
Joanne Miller. I live on Winfield Court in the Hidden Valley section.
Thank you.
Seems a little elementary compared to what these other people have said. And I wrote this for the county commissioners last week and revised it specifically for our township. So bear with me. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I would like to see a prohibition, or at the very least a moratorium, of building these centers here. These centers place an enormous strain on the power grid, enough to power 80,000 homes, and uses an exorbitant amount of water to cool them. Other communities who have data centers complain of greatly diminished water pressure, and the water that does come out of the spigot is brown and unusable. The turbines in these centers create ground vibrations, enough light and noise pollution to disrupt the functioning of local wildlife, such as birds, butterflies, bees, and livestock. Imagine what this would do to we humans and our children and our babies who are susceptible to environmental contamination. Also, there's the problem of soil contamination. Article 1, Section 27 of the Pennsylvania Constitution reads as follows: Public natural resources are the common property of all people, including future generations, established under public trust with a fiduciary duty to conserve these resources. This means that the water belongs to us, our children, or our grandchildren, not the government. If these centers get permitted, this could be a violation of our state constitution. Are we not supposed to be good stewards of our environment? Bensalem is already a densely populated city. Even with the 3-mile radius rule, which is recommended around these data centers, there just isn't enough room here. According to the Philadelphia Inquirer, PECO is designing contracts called transmission security agreements to ensure that customers are not saddled with increased power bills to fund the upgrades to the grid. However, as of June 1st, PECO raised their rates 3.1%. Working families and seniors such as myself already trying to make tight budgets stretch even further amid county and school board tax hikes. We are already trying to make tight budgets work. I see more and more EV charging stations going up around town. It's just too much on the grid. We just heard about your concerns for the environment at the former George Washington Motor Lodge site. I'm just asking, please say no to any data centers in our city or within 3 to 6 miles of our perimeter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rochelle Porto, I'm on Brandon Court up in Upper 10. I think you guys have addressed a lot of the questions that I had written down, but there's a bunch of questions that I think you still need to consider as well, so I'm hoping that this is also recorded. I like our first speaker who said, this isn't political. This is across the board. We're your taxpayers, we pay your salaries, and we're hoping that you're just going to be the responsible team that's going to prevent this from happening as well. So I echo a lot of what everybody just said. But some of the things that haven't been discussed, I discussed this at length with Representative Barbara Gleim, who you all might want to give a call to. She has farmland in the northern part, I believe, of York County. And they basically took her land by eminent domain and said, we're going to put up 18 data centers on her farmland. That farmland will now be rendered completely useless if ever there's a decommission or anything. I mean, she can't grow, vegetation or, graze her animals on that land ever again. That's a huge impact on just even food production, whether it's even for herself or she was doing it at a farmer's market. That's a major impact. And like Ms. Joanne just said, if there's a 3-mile, right, where are we putting this? Where is there a 3-mile, differential between these data centers and where we're going to put something up? So I would definitely have a conversation with her. She did mention that Europe has a lot of good avenues for these facilities to self-generate their energy as well as their cooling through nuclear. They can bring in small nuclear plants on flatbed trucks. Now, yes, environmentally and aesthetically, this has to be considered, like what are you going to do to, take away the ugliness of what that looks like, but nuclear is a way to do this without costing us, the taxpayers, and it's also cleaner. Let's face it, nuclear's in, the news, it's a lot cleaner, okay? So please consider that, but Representative Gleim has really good information because she was affected by eminent domain. Some of the other things that weren't considered was, where will the wastewater be treated? I know you mentioned the water, but what comes out, is that just going to be put into, as someone else mentioned, our streams? And as someone else mentioned, Falls Township, it's not like the water gets blocked. It's all integrated, right? So that needs to be considered. And also, too, we don't want non-disclosure agreements. The Amazon or Google or whoever's coming, they cannot have a non-disclosure agreement. They all need to be available for public comment and FOIA requests. We, the people, need to know exactly what they think they're doing and how they're going to do it. So please do not allow for non-disclosure agreements. I think, like I said, you guys have, the people before me were fabulous. I just wanted to hit a couple areas and just, suggest some other things. I'm sure I'll be back again, but all politics are local, and we need to get back to community. So I hope you guys are with us. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I usually am not told that I need a microphone a lot, but I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm Brian Simons. I live at the apartments at the Grand at Neshaminy. Everyone pretty much touched on almost everything I'd ask about. I just want you guys to keep in mind, too, I don't know if you can do this with ordinances, but the request of actual full-time jobs, if these data centers, worst case scenario, they go in place, we do what we can, they're still coming. A lot of times these companies, they get these tax benefits that they're coming in and they're gonna develop the land to bring all these jobs. Most of the jobs they're bringing are temporary contractors to run the piping, put the chillers in place, the electrical, and a lot of times they have national agreements with contractors that none of our local guys, like guys in the 420, Herman Goldner, all these big companies that like keep our community afloat, they don't even get access to the work because these national agreements come in, they buy them from suppliers that aren't local, you name it. I'd like for those things to be considered because you know, everyone complains about Amazon warehouses. I get it, but there's a lot of jobs you get from a 1 million square foot Amazon warehouse. You put 1 million square feet of data centers, you have a few network engineers, some facilities guys and girls, and that's it. And it's just, there's no local job creation at all. So I would just like for that to be considered. I don't know a lot about local ordinances and how enforceable they can be, but my advice to you is however strict you can make them, make it a pain in the ass for anybody to come in here would probably be the best way. You know, I'm no lawyer, but I make it very, very difficult. A lot of paperwork, a lot of time, because they're going to try every angle they can to get around whatever you put in place. If they say you can only do 3 miles, they'll build it 3.05 miles away and build a giant thing. Like it doesn't matter, so make it very, very strict. But I appreciate all the stuff you guys mentioned tonight. I think the 180-day pause is very advisable. I appreciate that, so that you can put better ordinances into place, and recognizing that you don't have them now and pausing them, I think it shows a lot of respect for the community. So I appreciate that. But that's all I have to say. So.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Annie Hasty. I'm at Maryland Avenue. I wanted to speak to some of the public health implications of data centers. Allowing data centers to be built in Bensalem is a direct threat to the health of the people and the environment. And speaking to some of the other points that were raised, they consume an enormous amount of water and electricity, depleting our natural resources and straining the power grid. The tremendous amount of water that's utilized by the data centers is rapidly driving water scarcity. They also generate tremendous amounts of heat and must be cooled, as was mentioned. A single data center can utilize as much as 5 million gallons of water per day for cooling, which is the same amount that would be utilized by 15,000 homes. When data centers are built, residents are taking on the cost of the exorbitant amount of electricity that is utilized, which residents are eating, which was mentioned. Data centers also generate noise levels exceeding safe levels for human hearing, which research shows that noise pollution can cause or exacerbate hearing loss, sleep disturbance, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, cognitive decline, memory impairment, attention deficits, and childhood learning delays. What impact is that going to have on not only human health, but on wildlife and biodiversity? Air pollution created from data centers is expected to result in 1,300 premature deaths per year by 2030 in the US. Those of you in close vicinity will see an increase in cancer, asthma, and other respiratory diseases from the air pollution driven by fine particulate matter generated from these data centers. Air pollution created by data centers is leading to respiratory-related health effects that are estimated to cost up to $20 billion per year in the United States by 2028. I implore you to consider the adverse effects of this data center on human health, the water supply, wildlife, and plant life. This data center would jeopardize the health and well-being of your residents and the environment. Proceeding with development of these data centers is putting value of profit over human health and the earth. Some billionaire is lining his pockets at the expense of our health. Thank you.
Thank you. Just your name and address, please.
My name is Wayne Bell, Falls Township. I heard someone here mention about the AI data centers, and I want you to know nuclear energy is the only way to go right now. If you listen to a lot of the data centers around the country, they are not using solar, they are not using wind, and when they do, they have vast amount of land. The AI data center in Falls, they're on the grid. They're not behind the meter where they should be. We actually need to create a third structure for them to be behind the meter and not affect us. That's what's going on. Unfortunately, lobbyists stopped all of that. I can't recall the bill. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney, so I don't really know. I have a lot of information as a technology manager. That's what I got my master's degree in, besides my chemistry degree. So I have some information, not a whole lot. So I do know one of you on the board here. I did shake their hand, which I didn't know you were on the board. My goodness. The Amazon AI campus, I want you to all know I really appreciate the time you give. So I'm going to breathe and talk normal. The Amazon AI campus, a community eviction notice, was what was quietly sold as a warehouse is now a hyperscale AI and AGI campus. Look at the economic bait and switch. In 2022, this project promised 10,000 local jobs for a 15-year tax abatement. Today, that warehouse and those jobs, poof, gone. Because the core land use fundamentally changed. The tax subsidy must be legally frozen and reevaluated. Local taxpayers should not legally subsidize a hyper-profitable AI monopoly under an outdated agreement. The Amazon AI data center project at the old U.S. Steel Mill site is a regional disaster wrapped in a local non-disclosure agreement. You people here cannot do that. You can talk to me and I can get some attorneys together. You don't have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. If you believe that, you'll believe Amazon as well. They plan to fire up newly permitted 280 natural gas-fired jet turbine engines, in which they call them generators. They are jet turbine engines paired with 3 diesel-powered locomotive backup engines right in your backyard. Let's expose the lie about bringing their own power. Woo! Great echo in here. I like this. Woo! A self-powered campus runs on its own dedicated solar, wind, or nuclear energy microgrid. Instead, Amazon is building a parasitic drain on PJM interconnection, sucking massive power directly from our shared 13-state grid. When extreme weather pushes that grid to the brink, PJM has authority to trigger these diesel generators and turbines, 280 greenhouse gas turbines. This is an innovation. It's a catastrophic carbon dioxide greenhouse gas smokescreen. Falls Township failed to negotiate protections for our environment, water table, and state power grid. We demand, well, I didn't read this to anyone. I was going to bring it to Doylestown, but I was late getting there, so I couldn't read it. So this is, make believe you're the Doylestown board. More power in Doylestown. We demand that you step up in your regional oversight, freeze and reevaluate the 15-year tax abatement, Falls Township. Order the Bucks Planning Commission to investigate environmental and utility impacts. Lobby the DEP on 3 diesel and 280 natural gas turbine generator permits. Intervene at the PA Public Utility Commission level. Township officials claim their hands are tied. Yours are not. This is a national issue and a countrywide infrastructure crisis. Bucks faces poison air, severe bioaccumulation risk, and skyrocketing PICO bills. This AGI campus isn't just a collection of servers, it's a living, breathing, digital organism that demands a sacrificial, man-made bloodletting of our regional resources. Water, water, water. They cannot exist without water. Forget the air conditioning. There's more efficiency in water. That's why in Falls they are changing and putting the waste treatment plant down in the area, but that's technology that is a non-disclosure agreement, so no one's supposed to know about the technology going on down there. But I do. I'm a scientist. I look at all of the AGIs in the United States. All of you here should do that. Don't fall asleep, ma'am.
Mr. Bell, do you have anything else?
Just a minute, sir. I'm speaking. Just give me the same amount of time you gave your residents.
Hold on,
Please.
I'm just being cognizant of time because we have other individuals
I
after
know
you.
you do.
All right. And we have,
Other people, all right, I'm sorry.
and there's a curfew
I'm going.
Okay.
By unleashing this AGI monster on our water and power grid, you aren't just hosting a data center, you are signing the eviction notice for our children's future, ensuring our descendants are completely wiped out. Protect our community, protect our seniors on fixed incomes who built these neighborhoods, and protect our kids who have to live in them. Hold these local boards accountable. Thank you for your time, I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Thank you. What's that? Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Jen Metzger from Falls Township. I want to thank this board for really looking at everything ahead of time. This is amazing that you're double checking, trying to figure it out, doing the research. Our brief experience in Falls Township has been rough. We tried to go to the Bucks County Commission to ask if there was any oversight or anything we could do for like an advisory council, if we could get help with the DEP, because we do have the 283 backup generators. These are turbine engines, these are greenhouse gas emitters. This is going to be a huge heat island down in Falls Township. A lot of people aren't worried about the water because, well, we flood, right? The river towns that surround Falls Township right now are typically underwater anyway. So you figure, hey, if they use a bunch of it, that'd be great. But here's the thing. There's this thing called bioaccumulation. And over time, when you have dirty water that you're throwing back into the environment, you got the little fish that drink it, you've got the animals that eat them, we eat those bigger animals. And so over this period of time, this biomagnification happens. So it's little bits of sick, little bits of bad, and it just keeps getting magnified and bigger. So that's why we're talking to you about damaged water, contaminated water. We're talking to you about them being 99% on the power grid, which means our PICO bills are going to go up. We've already seen the increase from November of 2024 when the Virginia and the Ohio data centers have come on board. Now, how is that possible? We have a 13-state shared grid for our power. So you're not thinking about, hey, how is this going to affect it? Because you figure they've got this all figured out, right? There's nuclear, there's solar, there's wind, there's so many ways that they can manage their own power, but they're not doing that. And because this is on a steel site, previously a coking plant, the thought process is, hey, we cleaned a bunch of it up. It'll be really great. They're going to be warehouses. There's going to be thousands of jobs. So we gave them a 15-year tax abatement. Guess what? When I was standing at the meeting, March 24th of 2025, and Falls Township allowed them to change the land use, I understand there's nothing we can do to have a moratorium because it's under the Commonwealth's law, right? It was already used as an industrial site. Now it can be again. It was already given the 15-year tax abatement because of the warehouses. It doesn't matter that those warehouses are gone. It doesn't matter that the jobs are gone. It matters that whatever we put in as a tax benefit transfers when ownership transfers and when land use transfers. These are state rules. I understand all of that. But this is absolutely amazing that your township is stepping back and going, wait a second, we're seeing this huge avalanche that's happening, this huge tidal wave that's taking over. Thank you for looking at all of this. Right now, our problem in Falls Township is going to become your residents' problem, obviously. And so some of the things that we're asking you to be very cognizant of is you had this whole presentation on the storage that's coming. There's nothing stopping them from just changing the land use from storage to a data center right now. So to answer one of the questions that was asked, yes, it's going to be over a 1 million square foot building for the Amazon AI data center, but Keystone Trade Center has now taken the tax benefits and the data center benefits and said this is actually going to be a 2 million square foot multi-sourced AI campus. So it's a full infrastructure campus now that's happening. There will be multiple data centers down there. That steel site, US Steel on Ben Franklin Drive, is within 2 miles of homes. So granted, we have landfills, we have all the wonderful things, waste management, but 30% of Falls Township, some of the nicer rolling hills, to be honest. But because there aren't houses down there, because we're a couple miles away, a lot of the land uses are allowed to continue. So there were NDAs. We actually had township supervisors say, we didn't sign an NDA. When the solicitor corrected them, they said, oh, well, if we signed them, what was in it? They've signed 2 sets, one in 2018 to say, hey, we're going to have Keystone Trade come under North Point. Then they said, okay, we signed another set of NDAs when those warehouses became data centers. Now, is an Amazon AI data center probably safer than the average? Yeah, because they're not going to do quite as much as some of these other data centers that are being built in Utah and Texas and some of these bigger places. But it's still going to impact our grid. It's still using those turbine generators as backup generators. It's still going to destroy our water sources. And there are no regulations because they were signed away under prior laws. So very much appreciative that you're here. Please note there is a 3,000 plus signed petition already requesting a lot of demands. We're really asking for overall oversight. The more that we're learning, we're realizing there's a lot we can't change, but please try to keep it as transparent, try to keep it as detailed as possible. There is a July 14th town hall on the AI Amazon data center down in Falls Township. So Prokopiak and some of the boards and a bunch of the elected officials in the area are going to be giving more information out for that. So we got at least that far. So we thank you all. Appreciate everything you're trying to do.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Mr. President, may I have a moment?
Can I finish? I just want to finish public comment.
One moment. We do have a 10 o'clock curfew. I would like the 10:30 curfew. I would like these people to get their time, so if we go a little bit extra, I'm not opposed to it, but I would like to vote on this tonight and make sure that this doesn't go forward.
I understand that. Yeah, we'll get there. Yep, sir.
Well, to his point, I'm going to be really short. I have to pick up my wife from her second job or she'll kill me. But I just had 2 things. I don't want to rehash what everybody else said because they had amazing points and we've all heard them before. So I just had kind of 2 questions is that as these things are kind of getting figured out, like the language, can we get like a guarantee from you guys on the council that, you know, I just heard about this application for the Trevis data center. Like if there's anything that's coming up that you guys can guarantee that you'll say no, at least as we figure things out. And then I guess the second thing I wanted to ask everybody on the board, and I don't know what the formal language is behind it, but just, you know, each of you guys, if you could make like an individual public statement if you're for or against data centers in general. Like, it doesn't have to be here, but, you know, just having it written down so I know, so it's not on deaf ears if I say everybody here is against it and then we find out that you're all for it, so. Oh, sorry. Alex Stanchak, 2919 Carter Road in Trevos, sorry.
Got it. All right.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Mary Pica, Mark Circle, Bensalem. I just want to say I'm a volunteer in the neighborhood. I'm very involved with my community. I volunteer for the Friends of Pequesting Watershed, the Delaware River Network Keepers, and the newly opened Friends of Burlington Island. I'm very involved in keeping our waterways clean. We work effortlessly to keep the water clean in and around Bucks County, and we've come so far. Please don't allow the destruction of the work we've done and the clean water we all cherish.
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. Brian Allen, 2627 Woodsview Drive, Bensalem. I just want to say I appreciate all of our neighbors coming out and sharing their concerns. I know we all share many of the concerns that were laid out here tonight, and I won't rehash those at this point, but I just wanted to thank you guys, this council, for being so proactive on this. I know, as Mr. Pizzo said, there's a lot up in the air here with the state, but Mr. Pizzo did a good job of laying out kind of the challenges in front of us, and I think the curative amendment is very creative to give us basically a 180-day moratorium for you guys to do the work that needs to be done to help protect our community here, and I appreciate the forward-looking take that you've done here and to protect our community. So thank you, and that's all. Just wanted to give you your credit. Thanks for protecting our community.
Thank you. Before I move to motion for the adoption of this resolution, I just a couple quick comments, brief. You are not wasting your time, and that message has to be made clear to every single person that came here this evening, or that's out there that's listening to this meeting. I remind myself every single day why I'm here and who put me here. This is not our council chambers. This is yours. So we are with you and we hear you. So I wanted to make sure that that message was clear. Okay? So it's not political at all whatsoever. So I think that was all I wanted to. I did want to note there was mention about failure of leaders, and we are really making a proactive attempt at trying to address this as best as we can. In terms of, I think we're doing a good job of what we're doing. Real quick too, the gathering place comment. I agree with you, been here for 40 years and we lost that. And hopefully at some point we will see some sort of redevelopment with that particular site. And then lastly, no, not as a data center, be clear. And lastly, I want to also point out, this is not about money. And for you folks that were here earlier, we turned down a storage facility site, and there was mention about tax revenue for it. So I want to make that really, really clear too as well. So, with that said, gentlemen, there is a resolution in front of you as a summarized moratorium for data centers, for solar farms and windmills, to give us the time and the depth of doing the right thing, of drafting the right ordinance to do what we can to define and limit where and how and when we want to see data centers. And if, I would ask for a motion to accept and adopt.
I will make a motion that we accept the resolution as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion's been made, seconded, and I'm sorry, did I hear a third?
Third, yeah.
All right. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay.
My name's Tara Diamond. I'm at 4711 Indian Spring.
Wait,
gotta
can you,
come up here.
real quick, I'll allow, real quick.
Comment, so.
Is this, I'm sorry, is this about data centers?
It is.
Okay.
I apologize.
All right,
My name's Tara Diamond at 4711 Indian Spring Ave in Trevose. My question isn't a question, it's a recommendation. With the building being so large in Falls Township and knowing the damages that could be done to human life, wildlife, and our environment, is there a distance required between data centers? Because I've read a couple of different things online, and with Bristol Township being approximately, 5-6 miles away from us, is that too close to have another data center in its capacity?
So the idea of passing this resolution this evening is this way we're going to put or define what that ordinance looks like here in Bensalem Township.
That's why I wanted to mention it.
If we can, no problem, we'll add that, absolutely.
Thank
Yep,
you.
Yep, you got it, yep. Mr. Pizzo, with that now passed, hopefully you got some additional feedback, just a couple bullet points, costs for the township, eminent domain, non-disclosure agreements, health concerns, bioaccumulation, distance to other data centers. Your work, in addition to so many others, your work is cut out for you, and we certainly look forward to a draft of that initial ordinance. Also, as far as being transparent, we will certainly advertise that when that will come up in front of us again. And the public will then again have the ability to review that ordinance and come up and provide any changes, suggestions as you wish. Okay.
Mr. President, could I say something?
Mayor, sure.
Just assure everybody out there, the administration will work as hard as we can to make it as tough as we can that I don't think any data centers are going to want to come here. That's my opinion, and I think that'll work. We'll work very hard, our attorneys, to be able to give council something that I think that'll make it very difficult. So I'll leave you with that. God bless everybody for coming out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Real quick, Mr. Sloan?
Yeah, and just if you have additional concerns, you can reach out to the mayor's office, the council. Our contact information is on the website. Typically, when the ordinance gets posted, you have to come to the township building to get a copy of it. But there's also an option, and we can figure this out as we move forward, where we have a meeting where we discuss what the draft is, we get some feedback, we have another bite of the apple. I think the 180 days that we bought tonight gives us that time. Looks like we'll have a draft ordinance to start looking at within 3 months, so half that time. So that gives us a lot of time for the back and forth and community input. So thank you all for coming out. Really do appreciate the comments.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. All right. We have a couple other things. Real quick, I would just ask if you don't mind, if any discussion. Yeah, only because we have a few other items on the agenda. Gentlemen, a few other items. The agenda number 11, consideration of a resolution for Act number 537, PA Sewage Facilities Act, for a parcel of land located at 1186 Byberry Road. Mr. Pizzo, is this yours?
So yes, for item 11, for both items 11 and 12, what are before you are Act 537 resolutions. In both cases, these are, well, I shouldn't say in both cases. So as for item 11, everyone?
Wait.
Everyone?
Let us finish the meeting, if you don't mind, please.
If we could take the conversations outside, please. It's difficult to hear in the best of conditions in this room. Thank you. For item 11, that's an Act 537 resolution for the property at 1186 Byberry Road. This is a land development approval that's been previously approved. One of the conditions of approval, as is the case with all land development in the township, if new sewer or additional sewer is required, the property owner has to go through the Act 537 approval process to assure that sufficient capacity exists in the collection and treatment facilities for the sanitary sewage generated by the property. In this case, the applicant has submitted its Act 537 approvals or application to the state DEP. The County Water and Sewer Authority has certified that sufficient capacity exists in the conveyance systems. The City of Philadelphia Water Department, who treats the sewage, has certified that sufficient capacity exists in their system to treat it. The resolution is in the form required by DEP, and again, this was a condition of approval for the project. So the administration recommends the approval of the, or the consideration, rather, of the resolution at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Pizzo. And that goes for both, just to clarify, number 11 and number 12?
Well, yes and no, other than the fact that the item in number 12, I would be misspeaking if I said it was approved. It's approved, but it's approved through court processes. So
Understood.
it's
All
not
right.
something that came in front of council, whereas number 11 did.
Understood. Okay, thank you. For that purpose, I'll ask for a motion for both of them individually. Council, any questions on these Act 537s? If not, the motion would be in order for agenda number 11.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution number 11 on the agenda for 1186 Byberry Road for Act number 533, Pennsylvania Sewage Facilities Act, as presented.
537.
537, I'm sorry.
Okay, second?
Second.
We're almost past our curfew, so.
All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Okay, agenda number 12, similar Act 537 for 3743, 3805, 3825 Hulmeville Road. If any questions, please put them forth now. If not, motion will be in order.
The only question I have is there's a note on here that the original act, the 537, was approved February 9th, earlier this year. So this is just a revision based on what exactly?
Yes, thank you for pointing that out, Councilman. Council did previously approve a resolution for this. The resolution is a precursor to the applicant getting approval from DEP. Once everything was submitted, apparently there were some issues on the state end that required some additional submissions by the masjid to the DEP. My understanding is that those additional submissions were made, and so a new resolution's required because it does vary from what was previously submitted.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
If no other questions, the motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution for Act number 537, PA Sewage Facilities Act, plan revision for new land development of a parcel of land identified as 3743, 3805, 3825 Hulmeville Road.
Second?
Second.
All right, motion and second, it's all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, that's approved. Agenda number 13 was taken care of earlier in the meeting. I'll move to agenda number 14, the consideration of a reduced permit fee for St. Gregorios Orthodox Church located at 4136 Hulmeville Road. Any questions related to the reduced permit fee? And if none, I would ask for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the reduced permit fee for St. Gregorios located at 4136 Hulmeville Road.
I'll second.
All right, any questions, comments, the motion? If not, all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, I'll move to agenda number 15. Any public comments that falls outside of data centers? Since we heard a lot. What's that?
Can we talk about land back to the
Yeah.
We do have a curfew.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Well, if you want to make it official, sir, I would need you to come up, please. Just need your name and address.
My name is Kevin Tilsner. I am for decolonization and giving land back to the Lenape.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay. Seeing no other public comment, I'll close the public comment portion. Any other business, I'll go around the table. Mr. Worst. Okay, Deb? All right. It's like, it's past my bedtime. Mr. Knowles.
Very long day today, you know. Yeah, no, it was a good meeting, and you know, we're getting on top of this, and you know, we're certainly not going to have any agreements where it's going to be kept secret where we're doing, and you know, we're going to make it. It's going to be extremely difficult to be able to do this. And I appreciate everybody's concerns. I would ask you to keep the St. Charles School community in your prayers. I'm on this, I volunteer there to help out the school, along with Mr. Pizzo does too, as he's children went there, and I'm an alumni. And unfortunately, our principal passed away yesterday at the very young age of 46. She had a child, and it's very devastating news. Very nice person and very solid person, really turning around the school. So it's a blow to St. Charles School, but we're going to get back on our feet and the whole community. So keep her in our prayers. They did a rosary for her tonight, and they have service for her on Thursday. Molly Quinn, the principal, Molly Quinn was her name. Very nice woman. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knowles. Thank you for that comment. Mr. Wenzel.
Yeah, I have one thing. Last meeting, we had a food pantry come here. Ed and I both in contact with Phil Abundance. They've reached out to us. Our community, I didn't realize, had so many people using SNAP and other different benefits. 1 in every 5 toddlers, I found out recently in our community, use SNAP or some kind of assistance. That's a problem. I recently sent emails to our local federal electeds for assistance. I encourage the community to do so as well. It was very upsetting to me. I know our local food pantries, I've helped out at a few that take donations through a church. They're struggling as well because the people who were giving are no longer giving because they're struggling. If you can, try to help out. That's all I'm asking. And even if it's at sending a letter to our federal politicians to help out, that's one squeaky wheel. Just when I found out that, I had 10 toddlers in my house the other day in the pool, my daughter's friends, 2 of them potentially could be in there, it was very upsetting. So if you can help, if you can't, get help. Well, somebody, there's a pantry out there somewhere that can help you. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wenzel. I'll go down the far end. Mr. Pizzo.
I just echo Mr. Knowles' sentiments regarding the untimely passing of Principal Quinn. And other than that, nothing further. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Ms. Ferris, you have anything?
Nothing further.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Kesselback.
Yes, I do. I want to just remind everybody that on June 19th is Juneteenth, and in 1866 it was declared by General Granger for the freedom of the slaveries and the slaves. So that's something we should keep in mind, especially today. It's very important to love our brothers and sisters.
Yep. Great point. Thank you. And Mr. Sloan.
I know that this is the last week of school. Congratulations to all the graduates out there. Summer is upon us, so everybody be safe, have fun, but be safe, and enjoy the summer break.
Got it.
Same for the teachers. So thank you all for the teachers out there, including
Thank you.
your wife.
Yep. I want to say congrats also to all those graduating students as well. And congrats to the teachers for having 2 months off. So, and then lastly, Mr. Pizzo, just wanted to thank you for the work with the ordinance. I think we're well ahead of the game. So, yeah. Okay. I'll motion to adjourn. That's all I have.
Motion.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay.
He got the motion. I
All
got
right.
second.
We're adjourned. Thank you.